you claim you're Africanist, you're going to get your mind back.
If a generalized black woman is doing this and being this, that is irresponsible.
No,
when you claim you're Africanist, you're going to get your mind back. Showing me,
black and proud. Claim you're African,
because I think that if
when you claim you're Africanist, you're going to get your mind back.
a page,
what is the status of people who have FBA?
When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind back.
That's why I was laughing, because I am
claim you're African.
I'm not saying the framework doesn't do a thing, but
become a part of it.
We've been
forward to black men
become a part of it.
Being in the control. We
become a part of it.
Only
embrace it.
That those one of the best stories I've ever heard.
Embrace it. When you claim you're African, you're going to get your mind
that
back.
mental growth takes place. You've been misled by leadership, for instance, that thinking you can consume.
When you claim you're Africanist, you're going to get your mind back. Black and I'm proud. Claim you're African. Black and I'm proud. I'm telling you.
I'm black and I'm proud. Claim your Africanness. I'm telling you. I come in the spirit of Dr. Amos Wilson today, y'all. I mean, that's as I say, I see myself, if I had to say what school of Pan-African or African-centered thought that aligns with me most, I would say, if I had to put one, I would say that is a Wilsonian approach. So again, family, I appreciate you joining in. I had to kind of like go in a different direction. And I'm glad that I'm going in this direction today. And please understand, this is a special edition. This is not something that I typically do or will do. At least right now, I don't think that is something I would do. Okay, let me just say what I mean by this. I don't chase stories. But there's something very, very, very close to home when it comes to this story on various degrees, on various levels. I have some surprises for you. Some things that you're probably not going to expect. I have data, I have information that I believe will have you look at this in a way that's like, man, this is serious. And I want to also say that this story, what's her name? Cheyenne Bryant. The title I have today is Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is only the tip of the iceberg. I have it here. Hold on one second, y'all. Hold on one second. Make sure I don't. Let me put this. This is the title. My connection to this. I changed the title. So my connection to this, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, is only the tip of the iceberg. Responding to, I think I had responded to Cam James's analysis earlier. I couldn't fit all that on the line. Again, I want to kind of utilize his video at some point as a video to respond to, not a video to actually respond to in a negative way, but more in a more positive way, And I want to be real clear that I'm going to be letting some things out here, some private information, if you will say, if it's such a thing, right? But nonetheless, my connection to this, and let me say this, about a year or so ago, I was on a platform with my dear sister Queen of B, and she brought a clip in about this sister Cheyenne Bryant. I think her name is Cheyenne Bryant, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Yeah. Peace to Dr. Ball with the popcorn sign symbol. Peace to Brother Jadorian. Peace and honor, brother. Look. I want y'all to get yourselves ready for this. I'm telling you, go ahead and like this video, share this video, and subscribe if you are not subscribed so far. I know this is not the typical conversation, but I'm telling you, these people are pervasive in our community. And I mean the types like Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. Okay, what do I think about Dr. Cheyenne Bryant? There's so much to be thought about, but this sister brought her up to me about a year ago, and I couldn't really give a strong analysis because I didn't get a chance to look at the videos when I was on the platform with her. But I must be honest. The clips that she showed me, I tended to believe that she was working with something. And I'm not saying she's not working with anything, but there's more that meets the eye. All right, so how do I get started with this? All right, family, let me just start off by saying this. Yeah, let me do it this way. I'm going to set the platform with this.
A white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community and have been made celebrities and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear. I just told you a little while ago, these leaders that they call leaders, this included Lena Horne, this included Dick Gregory, and this included comedians, comics, trumpet players, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community and have been made celebrities and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear. I just told you a little while ago, these leaders that they call leaders.
So, you know, you may or may not agree with everybody that our dear ancestor Malcolm X called out. Some of you may. But I want to say that his analysis, whether you agree with it totally or not, is still pivotal to this day. Because this celebrity culture is problematic. And I am arguing, I maintain that Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, let's call her doctor like people say Dr. Dre. Let's at least give her that. You know, we don't know. The probability is looking like something else. But I'm going to show you some things that show you absolutely she's lying. I'm going to show you some things that she's absolutely lying. Yeah. Family, go ahead and like this video, share this video with your friends. I know I'm starting off a bit slow right now. But believe me, it's going to become very interesting. Dr. Boss says, Dr. Dre, both of them laughing out loud, and the DOC while we are at it. Laughing out loud, absolutely. But this is going to be a different angle that I'm going to take today. And I know y'all want to talk about Tariq, and it's all this ties back to Tariq because he's a comedian, not the greatest, but he's a what they call a Z celebrity. I know y'all want to talk about Umar Johnson. He's a celebrity. I know y'all want to talk about Cheyenne Bryant. I'm saying to you, Nick Cannon, I'm saying to you, they're all the same personality or similar. And they've been even honest about it. I mean, I don't know if Umar is honest about it, but I want to show you what Umar says here. Just listen to Umar. And I agree with him. But I want to be honest. Whether Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is a doctor or not, her skills of conceptualizing things as a clinician, I'm talking about a strong clinician myself, one who is strong in conceptualization. I mean, majorly strong in conceptualization. And I'll tell you why I'm very strong in conceptualization. Partly because of me, but also because of the institution and the approach they took to train me in one of the institutions I went to. Now, why is it so hard to show any documentation for any people? But listen to our brother Umar. I said, and I'm going to tell you that Cheyenne Bryant is very, very skilled. I mean, if she doesn't have a degree or a doctorate degree, I'm going to tell you that whatever she been through, or whatever type of therapy she's been through, or whatever type of book she's reading, she's definitely could be using it in a better way, because she is talented, but she's using her talent in ways to enrich her. I don't know much about her. Let me just say that. Let me be clear. This is my conceptualization, and it may change a bit, but I have heard her break down these men on couches. Just a few snips from the last year when I first heard about her, and I was like, I can't disagree with her. I mean, she profoundly beat the hell out of Cam Newton. I mean, literally broke him down. But I'm gonna tell you my reason why I think she's partly does that so well, and I'm gonna let this brother tell you. Let me let y'all, our favorite brother, you know, I'm being facetious here, tell you why.
That Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is quite possibly the same personality type as Nick Cannon and Cam Newton. I believe that all three of you are serial monogamists with narcissistic tendencies.
So to address the first question, which was, do I believe that I have some narcissistic traits in my low functioning behavior? Absolutely. For me to be able to emasculate that man, and he's just loving on me, he's never disempowered me. This man wasn't cheating or beating on me. He was there all day.
Do you struggle with the same things that I struggle with? Self-importance?
Not at this level. Do I have a high level of self-love and self-value? Yes. Can my confidence be on steroids sometimes because that's the way I inspire me? Yeah. Does my self-talk show up externally sometimes? Yeah. Is my self-talk narcissistic? Abso-fucking-lutely.
I want to go back to the good Dr. Umar Johnson was saying.
I believe that Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is quite possibly the same personality type as Nick Cannon and Cam.
The only thing Umar didn't do was include himself in there. He didn't include himself. And he's on the money. You know, Umar got all types of pseudo information, even around ADHD, but he knows a narcissist. He knows one with narcissistic traits. And my sister was very much more specific when she called it traits. He called it tendencies. In clinical language, we call it traits. And she literally tells you here. She tells you, let's just listen to it again.
I believe that all three of you are serial monogamists with narcissistic tendencies.
So to address the first question, which was, do I believe that I have some narcissistic traits in my low functioning behavior? Absolutely. For me to be able to emasculate that man, and he's just loving on me, he's never disempowered me. This man wasn't cheating or beating on me. He was there all day.
Do you struggle with the same things that I struggle with? Self-importance?
Not at this level. Do I have a high level of self-love and self-value? Yes. Can my confidence be on steroids sometimes because that's the way I inspire me? Yeah. Does my self-talk show up externally sometimes? Yeah. Is my self-talk narcissistic? Abso-fucking-lutely.
I want to go back.
Effing-lutely. Hallelujah. What Rick Ross say? I mean, and I'm laughing at my own self, not necessarily her, because I do have a high level of empathy for people who've been through trauma. And she's being real honest. And the thing about traits, they don't just like change like that. People traits, their personality traits are their personality traits. It's hard to change. Now you can manage them, But look, you're not getting rid of them. You are who you are, especially by this big grown old age that she is. Umar is who he is. Tariq is who he is. Absa, how'd she say? Fucking lootly. Excuse my language, y'all. She admitted it. Umar knows, because Umar knows when he looks in the mirror the finesse that he has. When I listen to her, I hear the female version of Umar Johnson. Now, do I think she has a degree? I'm not sure. I'm almost sure that she's been through some programs. Does she have that master's degree? I'm not sure. But she's not weak in her conceptualizations, especially around trauma. She's pretty good. I'm not saying I agree with everything she says. I'm not saying she doesn't go off the deep end at times, because I don't study her enough. But the little clips that I've seen her break down grown men, I'm not even gonna say she was wrong about the ones I've seen. I mean, she broke them down. So does she have the ability? Is there. But also, what people who have these narcissistic traits that she says that she has, also study people. They study people. They lack a certain level of empathy. They tend to be able to understand empathy on an intellectual level. So when you understand empathy on an intellectual level, you can utilize that to abuse people. And that is what people who struggle with personality disorders of this type and that spectrum, what we call the, what is it? It's been a while, B, the cluster B, do. They know how to manipulate because they are survivalists. And they've learned to survive throughout their lives. And because they learned to survive throughout their lives, even when they're in different situations, they still don't trust people. And because they don't trust people, because they don't trust themselves, they will continue to manipulate. They will continue to take advantage of, unless there's some serious people around them checking them and they want to do some serious work. So family, go ahead and share this video. But she said it. So we shouldn't even be surprised, but we love celebrities and celebrity culture. And I know people like Dr. Ball is always critiquing and analyzing and telling you about how people are trying to manipulate us and we don't want to hear them. Now, to me, I think that's one of the things that he does greatly. I mean, like he is uncompromising in his analysis about what is going to help us and what is not. And let me show you something. So here, it's very easy, right? You can just show a degree. It's like you can just show your degrees, right? You can just say, look, people want to see your daggone degree. I specifically, I could just print a piece of paper. Who knows if that's real or not? Sojourner Douglas College. I went there because it was a Black, Pan-African, African-centered university. When people say, look, I'm not going there. I don't want to go to the Black school. But I was one of those people like, I can be a bit confident, like, nah, I'm gonna go to the Black school because we say we need to support Black, right? we say these things. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it into practice. If I don't go, then what? Now Sojourner Douglas College was a black school, by the way. Whether you agree with their politics completely or not, it was a Black independent school, but it did get funding and things like that, FAFSA and Pell Grants and all that type of thing. So yeah, but they were a independent Black institution. It's just that easy to show a piece of paper. It could be fake. You don't know. I mean, I could be coming to you and I could be like, look, I went to Sojourner Douglas College. Look, I have a bachelor's of science a bachelor's of art in business and administration. But then I can say, well, I went to Loyola University. But how do you know? How do you know this is true? I mean, you know, I didn't get the expensive frame either, right? I didn't pay for that frame. I went to the dollar store. No, I don't know if I went. Well, these two, yes, I did. The other one I went to Micah, whatever, the craft store. Yeah, I mean, it says a Master of Science. It doesn't even tell you what is in. It just says a Master of Science, right? And some people I heard online say, well, the degree doesn't even say what it is. Well, mine doesn't. It just says I'm a Master of Science. This is from Loyola University. But how do you know this is real? How do you know? Now, I went from the black to the lily white, institution, right? Respected, very respected. Counseling, clinical mental health counseling program, worldwide respected. But I also want to tell you something. I have various levels of experience here. One, Sojourner Douglas College is no longer in existence. The founder of the school actually just transitioned. Brilliant brother. The other founder of the school, one of the greatest minds I've come across, Dr. Marion Stanton, who I would consider one of my mentors, beautiful sister, mama, doctor, phenomenal mind. She transitioned some years ago. It was a pleasure to be in classes with her. She taught me so much. They did a great work in the community, not just here in Baltimore, but in the Bahamas and throughout the other places in Maryland. They had satellite campuses around, and they also had some exchange work going on between in other places. I got a whole interview on this particular institution online. Lots of great work done here in Baltimore through this institution, right? But then I can also show you, it's very easy, I can show you. Then I went to Waynesburg University, which is another white school up in Pennsylvania, private school. But there's some story that you might not know, which connects me to this particular story. And partly you'll see it here in this right here. Now, you saw some paper. You saw the papers. At least you know that I can at least print some papers and put them in some frames. You don't know whether or not that is real. I mean, because all types of people have all types of fake degrees, and it doesn't take much to get some cotton paper and put the things on and get these letters. And, they even have places we can go on the website and get fake degrees. Somebody said Flat Earth Society. It says Dr. Dennis Winkler, okay, says, what's the major difference between a mental health clinician and life coaches? So when you say mental health clinician, the word clinician supposes that there was some clinical training. A life coach is to deal with helping you with goals and non-clinical issues. They can't diagnose. You can do what you want to do, but it's not legal. They don't do clinical assessments. They don't get training in clinical. They might have some assessments that they do get some training in, but it's not clinical that help you form conceptualize and diagnose individuals. They also can't build insurance companies. And that's something I want to say. I don't know if it's going to come up, but I do want to say that there's aspects of Dr. Cheyenne Bryant that I would argue that some people, even in the clinical community, aren't being completely honest about. And I'm not really honest. Let me just say they're not really look, she needs to be come for, but there's also some things and there's nuance. Like some of the things she said, there is some legitimacy to. Some of her analysis is accurate. I can't say all of them. I haven't heard enough of her, but definitely around trauma, she said some pretty strong things. I'll just have to agree. Now, does she have to lie about having a degree to be? No, she doesn't. Maybe she did, but this is what I'll say. A lot of clinicians, a lot of people who went to school for all these years, masters and doctoral level clinicians do, especially those in more liberatory or revolutionary spaces or minded people, tend to struggle with the idea of licensure. Now, I'm not saying she's revolutionary, but lots of us, lots of people, I'm talking about in the clinical community, have thought about whether or not they wanted to obtain their license, but under the state that they're in, the jurisdiction that they're in, because of a variety of reasons. Now, it is true that there's oversight, there's regulation, there's all types of benefits that comes with a licensed clinical professional like myself. But there's also limitations. There's also licensure. Also, if you're really looking at it from a revolutionary mindset, it also serves to maintain the status quo. Now, I'm not saying that people shouldn't go and get their license, but I am saying that, like everything in a society, when it's regulated by them, it is in service of the status quo. So you have to be some underground railroad type of people. And it is also true that many people take the route because they want to get paid through insurance panels. There's people who actually are life coaches. There are people who are actually life coaches who decide to go the clinical route so that they can bill insurance. And I think we have to also be real honest. People are doing things in these coaching spaces which can be very close to therapy, although they might not call it. Now, the reality is this: they're not supposed to do certain things. But you know how people play around and they say, well, I'm not offering up a diagnosis. You know, like people, it's all types of ways people do all types of things. But what I'm saying is, just to be honest, there are people who also go the traditional route with accredited schools, institutions like I've gone through, and they still decide they don't want to get their license. But it's also true, there's safeguards and accountability and all types of other things when you're dealing with a clinical professional. All right, so Dr. Pepper, what are you saying, Bawana? Bawana says, Dr. Pepper makes soda, but he don't got a PhD in it. A lot of dumb money out here, Doc. If people are willing to pay for a fake museum or fake school, hey, now that's true. There's a lot of fake people out here. And the idea and the reason why I played the Malcolm clip is that we are caught up in celebrity culture. And we have to really be real honest that Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is not popular. She's not that essential or important because of her degrees. She has been made a celebrity. Tariq Nasheed is not important because of his lack thereof. Now, the flex on the fake degrees was part of her route in. But see, again, we give too much credit to celebrities. No, she's a celebrity. I'm not saying she's a top celebrity, but absolutely her trajectory is that of a celebrity. People can say why she is a celebrity and what helped her get there, her looks and all this type of thing. And absolutely those traits that she's talking about help her get there. Because believe, you have to be real. We have to understand the traits that she says she possesses. These people are very calculated. They sit back and they scheme, quite like Umar, quite like Tariq Nasheed, quite like Donald Trump, quite like people who have these traits. So again, I say Umar says that Cannon has it. He says Cam Newton has it. And the first time I saw Cam Newton, if you look back on Black Box, I said the same thing. So Umar was right. Now, I don't give Umar a lot of credit often. He was right about this, but he didn't include himself as one of those people with those traits, which he called tendencies. He called them tendencies. All right, so let me give you a little background, a little story here. All right. So here's a little something just to give more about me. You know, I showed you this piece of paper. This piece of paper. Who knows? These can be fake, right? Who knows? These can be fake, right? But hold up. Let me remind you, y'all, that I have a surprise for you. I just want to show you this. I have a major surprise for you. And I'm going to let you in. It's not going to take so long. But listen here. I'm going to show you a little bit more to make you probably convinced that I am who I am.
I called my speech today a patchwork in progress, because it is my belief that we are each made up of a patchwork of experiences that we've internalized throughout our lives and on which we continue to build. My hope for you is that you continue to have experiences worth of adding to your patchwork. Pieces of wisdom that are of such value that they become a part of you.
I believe that God set forth the path and knew that I and we would get exactly what we needed for our journeys forward. No, it wasn't easy. But as I said earlier, smooth seas don't make skillful sailors. Nelson Mandela is noted for saying, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So let's follow suit.
Giving back and standing on values are as essential.
That's just a little clip, and I was being very culturally competent in that clip. I was being very culturally competent, y'all. You know, that was a very culturally competent. I was the class speaker, yes, in my doctoral program. So that's, you know, they asked me if I wanted to speak, and I necessarily didn't want to, but I said, all right. I talked to some people, and they said, speak. And you must understand that this is at a very interesting school in Southwest Pennsylvania, which is very Christian. Yeah, it was a very, very interesting thing. You know what I mean? But I was a class speaker, and I was being culturally competent here, because I'm very complex in my ways of thinking around ideas, around what we call God, about what you know, politics and all these type of things. But nonetheless, that was my culturally competent speech. I had to Africanize it a bit. I know some of y'all say, "Oh, he went to Nelson Mandela." You know, yeah, I did. But I did. But there's a reason why I use Nelson Mandela, and I think I used the African proverb actually, and I think it was smooth seas don't make skilled sailors. Smooth seas don't make skilled sailors. There's a longer version on my channel. But smooth seas, laughing out loud, Madiba. So smooth seas don't make skilled sailors. And the reason why I use that African proverb as I spoke to these racist white people. Look, y'all been to Southwest Pennsylvania. Whew. If y'all haven't been to Southwest Pennsylvania, if you're on the East Coast and you think that Pennsylvania is still the East Coast when you get to Southwest Pennsylvania, I had to go to school up there to finish my degree once a month. And it was woo. And notice I said finish my degree. Yeah, notice I said finish. Because the seas weren't smooth for me. I went to Sojourner. Then I said, well, let me go to Loyola. Dr. Marion Statton said they had good programs at Loyola. I was too black. I'm like, I don't even want to go to this white school. She's like, no, they have good programs. I think you should go. And I says, okay, I'm going to go there. We'll go to Loyola. It was a phenomenal program. But by the way, what I want to say is another connection again. Is Sojourner Douglas College closed down. And the program I was in, which was the clinical mental health program at Loyola, which was a world-renowned program in their pastoral counseling department, also closed down. Now you could be like, everywhere he goes, he just closes them down. Now Waynesburg is still going, they still kicking. I've even taught there, and I taught there as full-time professor and also as adjunct. They're still kicking. But I have somewhat of a surprise here. So you see these three schools. I went to more than three schools, by the way. I even went to junior college. But I didn't get a degree there because I took a business route. I started building things, doing community work, all this. I went back to school because I wanted to be more prepared for the community work that I was already doing. If you know, I've also been to the African Village and Culture Center, where I was consecrated as a minister under Dr. Ray Hagen's, which is a whole different type of institution if you never checked out Dr. Ray Hagen's. But nonetheless, what you say here, Bawana, I hope this is worth it because you look like you're making a joke. You're not stopping my flow, are you, Bawana? So Bawana says, Doc, what if I told you that I could edit a video with a voiceover wearing the same graduation outfit and pretend I went to this school? Laughing out loud. I like that one. Thank you for that. Laughing out loud, not saying you would ever do that, but I'm intact. Thank you for throwing that in there because I'm looking for that, Bawana. So yeah, consider what Bawana's saying here. Doc just got up on that stage and he did a voiceover and he put the outfit on and he put these images. And look, I appreciate that, Bawana. That just makes it even more. So I got these degrees off the wall. I took it off the walls in my office over there. But then I showed you this clip of me speaking in front of all these white people. You're like, where's and my homegirl was there. Y'all might not know Dr. Sabry. We were the two black people graduating. I think maybe they might have had one more that year. We're part of the DOC program, so it was very small, right? The amount of people graduating from the program. But yeah, just to give you some, if anybody knows the brother in DC, what is his name? He's part of PKV. That's Dr. Sabry Wiggins Rose dad. The unifier, Kush, the black unifier, is her father. But So yeah, let's go with that. So I got this video I'll put out there because people do it all the time. They use AI and all types of things, and Bawana is, yes. Like we can do all types of stuff with technology today. That is a fact. So it's still like you still don't know what, like, because Billy Carson is gone to all the he been to MIT and Yale and all these other schools, and you know he has 17 degrees. Like what's that brother name? The one that Cam what's his name? Cam James has put out there. So I guess it takes charisma too. Tariq and Dr. Umar get millions for their community efforts. Yeah, and sometimes you got to even question that. Now, Umar, for sure, I think he underreported the amount of money he got, but I think Tariq is a lot more smoother, whereas he like polite, and other people might act as if it's bigger than it actually is, because we are attracted to that which we believe is successful, and people have been weaponizing that against us, and that is what she has done. She has weaponized a degree or almost a degree. Now my assumption is that she's gone through these institutions, but I don't think she finished. And she could have been almost there, and I'll tell you why. Because something she said, and I could be wrong here, in one of these interviews, and I'm wondering if I'm going to talk too much about it before I get to the clip. But nonetheless, one of the things she said was this in the clip. She said that they told her that they could forgive her if she decided that she didn't want the credits, or, you know, so they will wipe everything clear. And who are they I'm speaking about? I'm talking about the financial aid. And a lot of people are saying they never heard of that. Now, I've heard of that. And I'll tell you when and where and why. And let's get into that. Now, remind me that I'm going to tell you why I think that's true in a little bit. Oh, man. Okay, I see it. So I think that she does have a strong hold on trauma and certain things. Like she has something. I can't imagine she didn't do some schooling. I'm not sure she has that master's in marriage and family counseling or not. But I've taught marriage and family counselors. And I'll be honest, some of them are very sharp. I mean, like, they're very sharp. Whatever the type of training that they get, it has them looking at systems. So, because they look at the family as a system, and not only the family as a system, they look at these ecosystems that people are found in. So, they are some of my favorite students, those who actually have been trained in marriage and family counseling, because they look at everything systematically or systemically, right? Both. So Bryant, whatever, she's sharp. I must give that to her. But she's wicked, I believe, in a bit with her ability. So let's look at this. So about a year ago, again, I never knew about who Cam Newton was. I didn't know who she was. And a co-host of mine actually started playing these clips, and she was like, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant was speaking about these low, not vibration, but the first thing I thought about was Tommy Sotomayor. Not Tommy Sotomayor. What's the guy's name? The guy who's the manosphere. He's passed on now. Kevin Samuels. And she said low functioning, I believe it was. And then she was breaking down Nick Cannon and breaking down this Cam Newton guy. I've heard of Nick Cannon, but I've never heard of Cam Newton. Now, But when I saw her walk up in there and break them down with her conceptualization, I was like, oh, damn. I didn't know whether I thought it was wrong or right, or whether I thought it was appropriate or ethical or what have you. But all I knew is she definitely is steeped in trauma work, even if that was her own work. Because that's another thing. People who go to therapy and they do a lot of work around trauma, especially people with those personality traits that she speaks about, they typically, and I can tell you, it's not always narcissistic personality traits. Sometimes it's borderline personality traits, and people with these in this cluster B, just look it up, cluster B personality, they tend to study, especially around those who have traits consistent with borderline personality disorder. And they're similar. Manipulative, they know how to survive. They think about things. They study things. They don't trust people. It's a lot going on there. But what I will say is these people, as Umar said, Tariq, I'm gonna throw Tariq in there with Cam Newton. I'm gonna throw Umar in there, although he didn't put himself in there. Umar needed to throw himself in there. Umar, Nick Cannon. And Nick Cannon was saying, like, do you struggle with this confidence thing? And she said, pretty much she didn't. Well, she was thinking about it like she used to, but the reality is, nah, it's still there. It's twofold even. A lack of confidence and then a grandiose level of confidence. But let's read this. So I knew that something wasn't right after I got off that show and I looked this lady up. Because even when she was on the show, when I first heard about her, I knew how provocative how she was dressed and the way that she was doing it. I think something just didn't sit right. But Cam Newton, he threw me off with the hat. I was like, I don't know this guy, but this guy is exactly, I had the same feelings that Umar had about him as well, just off of looking at a small clip. But I said, wow, this is very interesting. Something just didn't sit right. So I looked it up. And she still has this on her website today. And we have to understand that people are very careful, and she's very, very careful in the way that she identifies herself on her website. I don't know if she made any changes to this website, but I know that the language is very similar because I remember looking at it, and because I look at people's websites when people bring them up to me, and it was very similar in language. And I knew that the language was being couched in a way to present her as a psychologist or whatever, or someone who she was trying to, I don't know what she's like, whatever, like someone who is an expert, but not an expert, but she didn't want to incriminate herself. And why do I say this? Because she says Dr. Cheyenne Bryant's biography. It says Dr. Cheyenne Bryant's biography. It says, welcome, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is a psychology expert. And what is that? This is what I said to my co-host, like after I got the phone, like, this doesn't smell right. Because what is a psychology expert? You're using the word because you're not licensed. That's what I thought, right? But it seems like it might be bigger than that. Not only is she not licensed, maybe she doesn't have a degree or, things like that. I don't know. Why can't she just show you the paper? She can make one. People do it all the time. Like, I mean, I'm showing you this. I showed you a speech, and all that could be fake, as we said, right? All that could be fake. But I'm going to show you some things later that ties all this together. All of this could be fake, right? All of it. So Cheyenne Bryant is a psychology expert, renowned life coach. Now, you can be, many clinicians actually are both, because in your state where you're licensed, you say, I'm a practicing clinician. But you can't practice therapy in places where it doesn't offer reciprocity or you're not licensed. So people tend to call themselves a life coach when they go into these other spaces. Now, whether or not I believe that they're operating at the level of a life coach is a different conversation, because I don't believe that most clinicians are going to cut off their analytical ability and offer up. Most of the time, your clinician doesn't tell you your diagnosis anyway, because and Dr. Cheyenne Bryant was really, and there's a clip, I don't know if it's in the clip, and I'm not even sure if I'm gonna get to the clip, but she was accurate when she said that people do, although she was manipulative, manipulating the situation and not answering the question. She was accurate when she said most people don't want a diagnosis. Now, the reality is because, and some people, other clinicians try to play that down. No, that is absolutely true. Most clients, and then I've heard somebody say, well, I always want a medical diagnosis every time I go and see my doctor. That is very different. When you're dealing with mental health, people are afraid of diagnosis. They're like, depressed. What do you mean I'm depressed? Anxious, anxiety. What is that? Like it's a new thing to people. Like, I've been this way my whole life, and now you're putting a name to it. No, don't do that to me, because I want, some people feel like they lose power and something's wrong with them. It's something different than getting a cancer diagnosis. Not everybody. High blood pressure diagnosis. Not everybody, because some people don't even, they will fight the doctor down that they don't have high blood pressure. Many of us will. But it is even more difficult for many to take the idea that they might, especially they have an organic disorder, something like bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or anything that is considered organic or biological, in many cases mean that you have to take some medicine to regulate and balance yourself. And Black people definitely, a lot of us don't want to go there. So there is truth to that. There's also truth that many people with certain types of jobs and profile don't want diagnoses on their record. That is true. So it's not like she's totally being dishonest. Like, see, a lot of people, I saw clinicians going and act like she was totally off. She wasn't. But she's very aware, but she's manipulating the situation. So I'm not sure if she has a master's degree. I don't buy the doctoral degree. I don't buy it. But a master's level clinician in a field like counseling or marriage and family counseling and all those, they are very, very prepared. They're prepared very well. Now, she was doing some deflection when she was on the Breakfast Club saying, well, I don't even like, it wasn't about whether or not you can get your license. They were asking, did you have a doctoral degree? And then you goes on, well, I can get licensed at the doctoral, at the master's level. That's true. And they're very prepared at that level. I'm not sure she has that degree or not. But that doctoral degree, I'll show you something a little later. That doctoral degree, I got something for you. She got some lies, or she's misinformed, or she fell in her head, or something went wrong somewhere. She had a breakdown in information. That something happened very wrong, but she did it full-chested, which makes it very suspect. She also said that she has narcissistic traits, which makes it, even more realistic, like liable, probabilistic that she is lying. No, I mean, she said that she has the traits. She said she didn't have to treat that man that way. She's being very honest. See, the thing is, people know honesty, and people know that honesty will also win you over when they tell you the most toxic things they do, as if it's in the past. That's what people do. They'll tell you the things that they think they worked on, or that they want you to believe they worked on. So when she was speaking from the past her, as if she has developed herself in a way that was her past. But I'm going to argue it is her present. And I have a present for you. Family, make sure you like, share, subscribe. So again, a master's level clinician, I'm not sure if she is or not, but a master's level clinician is highly trained. Those who are able to seek licensure, they have to do 60 odd credits to get that at the master's degree level. Okay? It's not like you went and got 22 credits or 30 credits. No, they had to do at the master's degree level. A master's level clinician is highly trained in counseling psychology, especially counseling, because your work is purely clinical. Marriage and family counselors are highly trained people. Not sure she isn't. She is. I'm saying they're trained well. 60 odd credits plus, if she went through licensure before she even got out of school, or anybody gets out of school, they probably had to do at least 1,000 to 2,000 clinical hours working with the clinical population. So you not only have to do 60 credit hours, you also may have to do a thesis or a capstone or some type of project. Then you also have to do what you call clinicals, and clinicals are very demanding. That's where the rubber meets the road. You have to take what you've learned and work with people. And many times, especially in K-Cup accredited programs, you only, I think you have to do like 900 to 1,000 hours. So, and then you have to do another, I think, 2,000 hours to get your LCPC or whatever it is in the state that you're in to get your licensure at that master's level, or social worker, or master's level psychologist, which is that's a whole different type of thing. But master level clinicians are very trained, and so I just wanted to say that. So again, going back to this, she says, welcome. Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is a psychology expert. No such real thing. This is something kind of like saying I'm a life coach. So it's kind of like she's saying I'm a life coach twice. You know what I mean? It's like I'm a life coach and I'm a life coach. And the reason why I say it's like saying you're a life coach, because she knows that if she used psychology expert, that there's nothing regulating that. There's no licensure for that. There's no, there's nothing to say that she can't say psychologist, because she does. If she went to school and she got her degree, if she went to school and got her degree in counseling psychology, I know people who went through Argosy and got their degree in counseling psychology, but they can't still, that particular program, you still can't call yourself a psychologist, because to be a psychologist for the most part is you went through the APA, and also, or you've actually are serving in some academic or research capacity at some university. And not only, but academically, yes, you can call yourself psychologist per se in the institution. But when you work if you just went and got your degree like Umar, I believe has, for sure, I believe he does. He's not supposed to call himself a psychologist. The only workaround that Umar has is that there is a master's level psychologist called a school psychologist, but that's a school psychologist. But psychology in general, you have to have a doctoral degree to be considered a psychologist, but the doctoral degree is not enough to call you a psychologist. To call yourself a psychologist, you also have to take whatever test or exam in that field and pass it and become licensed. So the label or titles to psychologist is more of a license. It was like a licensure. So Bawana says, and then there's different types of clinical mental health counselors, as there's clinical social workers, there's licensed clinical professional counselors, there's nurse practitioners, there's psychiatrists, there's psychologists. Everybody has their own kind of focus and way of seeing things. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor. I'm also a counselor educator. There's different ways of looking at things. Psychologists spend a lot of time on their main focus is like a lot of them don't really use it per se, especially those who practice therapy, is assessment. So Flat Earth Society said, that's true, but Dr. Winkler, my nephew, is a school psychologist and licensed in the state of Florida with a master's independent practice. All states don't have this, though. Yeah, it's different. Some states you don't even have to have a license to call yourself a psychologist. There's or anything like the counseling was not, one time it wasn't a regulated profession. In fact, it was more like, if you ask me, the counselors became more like they broke off from the psychology strand in a sense to be more liberal. That's why I say I'm a highly trained feminist when people want to tell me what feminism is. Or liberal. No, you can't out feminist me because I'm trained by the best feminists. And yeah, the white feminists. And what I mean by that is they'll have you tripped up, man. They'll have you tripped up, thinking they're allies. I'm not talking about the strong left comrades. I'm talking about the liberals who don't want to change nothing, but they talk about Oprah. Yeah, I'm trained by them. Yes. Yeah, I am. But for the most part, you can't call yourself a therapist, a psychologist, in some places it's kind of weird, like Pennsylvania. I teach in Pennsylvania. They'll I think if it's still accurate, they'll let people call themselves therapists, but they won't let people call themselves counselors. So there's nuance. But for the most part, that's why you have licensed clinical professional counselors or professional counselors, which is very different than people who try to be like, I'm a counselor and they never been to school. There's clinical counselors. Then there's people like there's career counselors, just like psychologists. There's school psychologists. They're not clinical psychologists. There's research psychologists. There's counseling psychologists. There's a plethora of, but you might not ever have taken a clinical class. You might be a biological psychologist, but you can't offer clinical practice. Like, for example, one of my students at Waynesburg was a neuroscientist. Now, she has all the behavioral classes and all that type of thing. She does a lot of research, and she calls herself a psychologist. Maybe she could do that. I'm not sure, but but I could tell she was struggling. So she came back to school to get a master's level license so that she could practice clinically. She already had a PhD, but she went back to school so that she can practice clinically in Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? All right, so I'm going to show you some things here, y'all. So let's get back to the website. Peace to brother Q Butter. It's been a while. So let's go here. So she says here, I'm not going to sit on this website so long. I just want to show you the manipulation going on. Again, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is a psychology expert. Wrong, right? Renowned life coach. She can be that. A co-producer of MTV's nominated Best Unscripted Reality Show. See, I told you, she's a celebrity. Teen Mom's Family Reunion, ranked number. I don't know the history of this. I don't know what came first. So maybe you know. I'm assuming that the celebrity, the unscripted reality show came first. I'm not sure because it's called Teen Mom. Then she's also been featured in Forbes, Oprah, Insider. I don't know if all this is true or not, but nonetheless, it is consistent that she's some level of celebrity. Dr. Bryant is the president of NAACP. Now, Dr. Bryant is the president of NAACP. That doesn't, branch 1069. Okay, you know what I mean? Founder of Dr. Bryant Institute. Founder of Dr. Bryant Foundation, author of the award-winning Reader's Favorite 5-star. All this stuff, this is what I see. This is very common. If you don't know, Tariq Nasheed has people do the same things. So many people go to these Christian fake schools, not real Christian schools. I'm not talking about real Christian school or Jesuit school, none of those type of. I'm talking about these degree mills to get some type of credential. It's very common. Like Tariq Nasheed is a minister. See, people who think like this tend to go find these ways of trying to validate themselves to others through some very interesting paths, like fake colleges and institutions. They go to like this metaphysical university. They go to like this school. I think she went to the Heritage or something like this one. Like she has a doctoral degree supposedly from this Heritage space, whatever it is. Like a lot of people do it. Like Ben X has a degree, and that guy, I forgot his name. He got all the degrees, and he's and he's still online, just giving all the information out. Y'all know what I'm talking about? The black guy. He was just actually at Bowie State University not too long ago with Ben Crump. And I think Ben Crump called him out. What's the guy's name, y'all? What's his name? Ben Crump called him out, y'all. hey, I was at the I was at the somebody tell me who it is. Something Richie, what's his name? What's his name? Hey, so I took my class to attend this because one of my students asked me if we could go as the social justice class to this forum where Ben Crump is doing a book signing or a release or what have you. Now, typically I wouldn't go there, right? I mean, it's just not my thing, but I give them so much stuff that they have to like breathe through, like very radical stuff and stuff that they just like, woo, this is way over the top. Please, you make me think I have to go and become a black radical and take over this place. Like, even though that's not what I'm saying, that's how it feels to them. So I said, all right, let's go. Now I saw him on the flyer, like, okay, I'm just let y'all know he's a fraud. Okay. He has all these degrees, like 15 degrees. His name is what? Richie. What's his first name? Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. We still give people like that passes in our community. And people say it's not important to call out these things. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't sit well with me. But again, Dr. Richie is problematic. Let's see what I got here, y'all. Did I lose my space? You know what? I think I was going to do Cam, but somehow Cam is off of here. And let me just do what I'm doing. Hold on, let me go to Cam. Let me find Cam's video. Family, make sure you like this video. You share this video. I'm going to find Cam's video because I think he does a interesting analysis that I kind of want to process with you all today. What's his name? Cam James. So Cam James just did. Oh no, he just did Cheyenne Bryant. He just did another one on her. It looks like. I want to do his longer form video where he speaks about it. I think it's here. All right, so let's go here to Cam.
If you ask me about my...
Okay, so I'm going to probably speed it up just a little bit, y'all, so we can get through it. If it's moving too fast, you know what? Let's just play it. So we're going to review Cam's video together. And I'm going to...
All right, y'all have been asking and telling me to talk about Cheyenne Bryant for a long time. And I hadn't covered...
Now, be honest, like, I'm very similar. I thought about responding to this when I saw the other sister, Dr. What is her name? She's a psychologist. What is her name? Responding to it, and I said I should probably respond to this, but I didn't because I don't typically chase stories. I don't really chase stories, but again, this right here it's hitting home in more than one way, and I'm going to show you how she's absolutely giving you false information, even around why she can't show you her evidence of her degree. I'm going to show you firsthand why she's lying or she's ill-informed, but I don't know if she's that's just being really giving her a lot of grace. Peace, JG11.
Over there yet because I work for myself. I was doing other stuff this year, like earning lawsuit threats. Her situation seems to have come to a head as of this week. So I actually dropped what I was doing and prioritized this based on the research I was able to pull together. She's almost definitely a fraud, and I can back that up. So FD covered the ethical side of the situation recently, but he didn't look into the credentials piece. Allow me to pick that ball up and run with it. I don't blame you if you haven't heard of her before. Let's knock out a basic rundown of the resume. Cheyenne Bryant is a social media celebrity, producer of MTV's Teen Mom Family Reunion.
It's not a pretty exercise. Things happen. Yeah, go ahead. Bitch, you do it then. Do it then. Do it then.
Yikes. President of an NAACP branch, author, and life coach guru who calls herself a doctor of counseling psychology, which she allegedly isn't, and claimed to get that degree from Argosy University. She's built her career on being a relatable street therapist, which didn't fully hit me until I watched one of her interviews.
I'm letting you go raw on me. You busting nuts at me. But when I show you my wounds, I'm toxic. Who's really safe here? Because I'm not safe because you got a good stroke. And most women ain't even satisfied from it. The more we hold off on what y'all usually want, that thing, the more y'all do anyways.
Now, some people, even my dear brother here, is saying that there's therapists, I just want to let you know, to take different approaches, especially when working with our community. So I think I would say take some of his analysis with a grain of salt as pertains to people's approaches. There's even therapists I know here, they call themselves trap therapists. There's therapists who call themselves like, they want to be real. And there's research around different approaches as it pertains to the Black community. I'm not saying her approach is the best approach, nor am I saying this is therapy. I'm just saying that I think that it deserves a little bit more nuance.
The more y'all give and the more y'all do.
Just don't call her a therapist.
My biggest misconception about you, and I think, at the end of the day, with me hearing from other people about you being a therapist and practice.
So I'm a psychology
expert.
Yes.
So she said I'm a psychology expert. Let me slow it down for y'all because I know y'all gonna start getting me soon. That's kind of moving fast. Okay.
Curses more than any mental health professional I've ever seen, uses a lot more slang, drops some truly basic Tyler Perry movie-esque psychology sound bites, and intentionally targets low-income communities that would fall for this kind of grift, unfortunately. That's evidenced by the relatively affordable prices on her website.
No, I don't understand now. I don't know. I mean, I get what he's saying here, but that doesn't make sense, Cam. I mean, I get it. When he says low-income communities, those prices, as he said, relatively, I agree, are low for one who's a social media celebrity. Like, but a $350 coaching session is not low. It's I mean, it's not low, one. And two, let's say I'm saying coaching session, life coaching session. Now, there's probably people who do charge more. But what I'm saying is low income community. Nah, low income community ain't paying no $350 for no, you know. Now she does have very low prices considering her reach.
She's a social media star, so please believe her rates would be in the tens of thousands in private practice if she was charging based on all the clout she brags about on her site and her capacity. That might lead you to say, well, she wants to serve people who can't afford therapy in the Black community, Cam. Interesting theory. We'll come back to that. One of her other honorary doctorates is from Harvest Christian University in 2025, which claims to be an indigenous university with multiple accreditations.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier, y'all. See, frauds tend to do the same thing. I know so many people, like, I see people right now who call themselves doctor, and they have all these, some people I know, they even have universities they created themselves, and they are like the founders of the actual universities and whatever, and they have degrees, and they all have PhDs. I even have a friend or someone who grew up with me who has a honorary, you're not even supposed to have like an honorary PhD, from what I know. Now, you can make anything up, I guess. But she has an honorary PhD, not a doctor of letters or anything like that, but nonetheless, it's from another Christian university, not a Christian university, a Christian diploma mill where you can basically either buy the degree outright or you do a couple sessions of this and that, and now they call you a PhD. You know, so, which is very interesting. But on hers, it says honorary. But as she presents herself, and I noticed those with the honorary degrees, they tend to use the doctor title more than those who actually earned it. I'm talking about publicly, because that's their whole purpose, trying to establish credibility. I'm saying on Facebook, it does not allow you to put doctor in front of your name or anything like that. But those people who I tend to see, not all, but anecdotally, the ones I've seen, they tend to have these sketchy degrees, or whatever you want to call them. I don't know. Do you call them degrees? Yeah, whatever.
All of which are bullshit. I searched for Harvest Christian University in the DAPIP database for accredited institutions in the US, and it doesn't show up. Their Royal Charter accreditation, maybe that would fly in the UK, but it definitely doesn't mean shit here. They list a couple more accreditations on the page, and neither of those show up on the CHEA website for approved accreditation agencies. This school is where you go to buy a degree in order to get away with calling yourself a doctor, despite never earning a real doctorate. Her master's at University of Phoenix, since she claims that degree is in marriage, family, and child therapy, and the University of Phoenix has that course, it's gotta be it, right? That being said, that course is supposed to qualify students to receive their license in California. It's literally designed to do that. Since she said herself that she doesn't operate with a license, I'm side-eyeing that degree too. Where did you get your start?
My start as far as like a therapist, I started off as a marriage, family, child therapist about 18 years ago. Before I obtained my doctorate degree in counseling psychology. Once I became a doctor of psychology, I transitioned from a therapist to a psychology expert in private practice. And so I no longer practice under a license. I now I'm in private practice. That's what I'm saying. And that's what people don't understand, right? So just to educate some folks a little bit, a license is really only needed so you can bill insurance. And let me go.
So that's what I was talking about earlier. It's not only, right? But there are people who only get their license so that they can bill insurance. So that's the difference. There are people who only get their license so that they can bill insurance because they've done life coaching. They can't keep they can't get enough clients that's paying out of their pocket. Like those 350 prices that I was talking about, 350, 500. Those aren't for the low income communities. I don't know what well, maybe the low income community in places like New York City or something. Not in Baltimore, in this area, DC. It's not low in New York either. But what I am saying is, basically, let me just play this video.
Step further. Majority of people who know that in order to bill insurance as a therapist or a physician or a psychologist, psychiatrist, you have to diagnose. Okay. Most people don't want to have a diagnosis on their record. So what do they rather do? pay out of pocket.
We see this excuse used time and time again.
Again, there's most people don't know they're receiving a diagnosis. Now, as clinicians, we're supposed to disclose that we have to diagnose if we're taking insurance. That is a fact. No, I mean, well, not if you won't get paid. Let's say that you won't get paid. Now, I'm very clear in disclosing that there will be a diagnosis. It's in the paperwork. Now, the problem with psychotherapy is this. In your informed consent, you have to like express these things. But sometimes people don't really articulate that to their clients. And that's, to me, also problematic, because then you have things on your record and you don't even know. And there's major debate about how you do that. I always disclose that I will diagnose, but I don't. I ask clients, do they want a diagnosis many times? Because, I mean, do they want to know their diagnosis? Because many times that can hinder the therapeutic process. In fact, it can cause much resistance. But there are certain diagnoses that we have to disclose. I mean, from my standpoint, we have to disclose because some things are biological. And typically when it's something biological, there's some therapeutic aid that needs to accompany the psychotherapy, some drugs or what have you. Now, again, a lot of people that I work with don't want to take medication. So there's other ways you're going to have to do this thing, but it's going to be hard work if you don't want to take medication to regulate what needs to be regulated.
By grifters.
But the reality is, it's not about the degrees. I've never shouted.
This guy.
I have a bunch of degrees.
It is about the degrees. As for the part about servicing poor Black people who
see, again, it's not about the degrees, he says. And that's what they all say. That's what she did too. It's not about the degrees.
Can't afford to bill insurance. I don't believe it. Positioning this grift as community service doesn't really match up with what I see on her site. Those packages are a clear money grab focused on filling every potential avenue for profit via mass appeal and volume orders. In business terms, she's creating a fast food model for therapy. And I wouldn't be surprised if she has a team assisting her at this point.
I have a team now. I self-published my first one.
After all this visibility and all those followers, there's no way she'd be able to handle all the incoming booking requests by herself. Truth be told, that's probably why she's trying to sell y'all a book instead. That's the exit strategy.
And you notice, see how she has it on her neck? You know, that's what I'm saying. Those who typically, it's like I know some real people with different degrees who do that, but it seems like those who don't, or have like these honorary or these degree mill type of degrees, they tend to really wear that doctor title on their neck, literally.
Financing section on her site too. I looked up this company FlexBuy, and the reviews are atrocious. Multiple people claiming they were scammed, slamming customer service, and connecting the dots between her and the multi-level marketing companies that tend to use this for their clientele. Look, a lot of the economic model stuff I'm talking about is speculation, granted. The bulk of the proof I have to present y'all is tied to the doctorate, not her business model. I'm just throwing out ideas based on what I've seen in the past. Let's move on. Speaking of the doctorate allegations, she said this on The Breakfast Club.
The conversation about your doctorate because people can't find your dissertation online. Mm-hmm. How are you responding to that in this new era of your life?
I'm going to clear it up once on here. I'm not doing it again. And I'm clearing it up.
So she does all of that. I'm going to clear it up once on here. She's getting testy, right? You know what I mean? Like, she's getting testy.
For my doc squad, for my fan base, for my audience who deserve to hear me address it. For the folks who...
That's like Umar Johnson, y'all. That's like Umar, when Umar be like, look, the only people who need to know where the money went are my fan base, are my supporters. Everybody else, you don't get to know what this non-for-profit is doing. Although legally, it's open. It's supposed to be open, public record. You know what I mean? So See, she's trying to bully you and shame you. See, people with these personality types that she said that she has, these traits or tendencies, as Umar Johnson called it, they tend to know how to fight, even though it can be the worst information on their feet to protect their egos. And they'll make you, they're really good at weaponizing and making you seem like you're the problem. You know what I mean? They're really good at it. I call them professional victims. And in my theory, in geotheory, the framework, the psycho theory, the counseling theory that I've created, the model and philosophy, it speaks to these pedestalized victims. And the psychology and counseling community, they actually, in many ways, are complicit with, look, they can sit on here and act like they're not and talking about, see, they're protecting their license. They like people who went to school for like a lot of these clinicians, they're going to protect their licensure. They're going to protect it because they're like, I went to school and spent a lot of money to do this, and I don't even think I'm getting paid enough money for this. So, oh no, she ain't going to come up here and do this. You know what I mean? So sometimes they're not always sharing all the sides. Although this lady is, I'm going to show you clearly a fraud. I'm going to show you. It's coming. She's clearly a fraud. Dr. Ball says, does the Breakfast Club ever host people who don't have to defend their credentials? that is real. You know what I mean? And the Breakfast Club, Earn Your Leisure. I don't even know if are they around anymore? I know Earn Your Liberation is back. You know what I mean? Check them out on Sundays, family, over at what's that, African World Order? You know what I mean? Your Breakfast Club is horrible. And they know it. You can't tell me they don't know it. Charlemagne knows when to shut up, and they know when not to have him there, and all types of things. Look, you can't convince me that they don't have a racket, a circuit. It's there because they are in cahoots with one another. Whatever's going to get them and maintain that algorithm, they will put before you. You can't trust these people. The algorithm, this YouTube algorithm, is psyoptic warfare. The reason why Tariq Nasheed can have so many people in his chat is because it goes with whatever it is that keeps us in our community in disorder. I'm not even saying that it's like who's doing it and those type of things, but I'm saying it's quite like in hip hop, and you all will be better than me to explain this, especially like Dr. Ball. But the thing is like hip hop, they you can talk about killing another brother or sister, but you can't talk about killing the cops as much. At least, that's my understanding. They will cut certain things out, but things that keep us in disorder, they will perpetuate. It stays in that algorithm. I'm not even talking about the internet algorithm, but the record sales and all that back in the day when they used to do that.
Have already made up their mind to not like me or not understand me. Listen, I don't give a fuck what your narrative is. I would like for you to recreate it, double down on it, and run that shit. Because I don't give a fuck about it. Now, to my doc squad, my fan base, my folks, my village, it's very simple. I went to a school, Argos University.
Now, a therapist, I agree with Cam, doesn't typically speak like that because they understand that communication is valuable. A therapist understands that people can misunderstand you. And so communication is very, very important. It's essential. It's one of the number one things that we teach people how to do. set boundaries, and also communicate and all those type of things. But again, she told you about her personality. So now she said, run that shit and whatever. Like, she's again making the people who's asking her about her credentials a problem. And as a licensed or non-licensed professional, but a professional, especially when you're working with people, you are obligated to disclose your credentials if you're using them or not. As Dr. Forgot the sister's name now at this point, but I agree with it, is that a person can have a master's level degree, get licensed, and then get a doctorate degree. And people do it all the time. They do it. They'll go and get a doctorate degree in a field that is non-related to counseling. Let me be clear. They'll go and get a degree in physics. Now, if you are speaking about physics, then you can call yourself doctor. But if you're offering up psychotherapy and you putting your shingle outside, you're not supposed to put doctor there unless it has some connection. Maybe there's a way that you can have it connect. But no, you don't call yourself doctor because you went and got a ministerial degree. I see people do it, but you're not supposed to. If you're it's supposed to be unethical. If you have a degree in mathematics and you are a clinician who has a master's level degree, you're not supposed to utilize that and call yourself doctor as you represent the field of counseling or psychology or social work or what have you. You're supposed to use the degree that you are credentialed at. Or, I'm sorry, let me credential that, yes, but also the degree, if it's a doctoral degree, has to have something to do with the field of counseling or psychology or social work. Psychiatry is clear. Nurse practitioner, you can be a master's level nurse practitioner and you can be a doctoral level nurse practitioner. So the same thing with them.
Completed an entire program. I went back online to get my official transcripts because I was applying to a law school many years ago to be a professor there. And I had to provide.
So she said she went back online to get her transcript. Let me slow it down in this part. I'm coming, and this is real serious right here, what she's about to say. And it has a lot to do with how I'm going to close this out today. Where's normal at, you all? I think, playback speed. Okay.
My transcripts, right, to get hired. And I went to contact the school and say, hey, I need my official transcripts. I need my entire thing. And there was no school. I was like, okay, I'm confused. I Google. It says this school has been shut down.
So students of Augustine University in Dallas filed a Texas lawsuit in 2009 alleging they believe university recruiters inaccurately informed students that the school would soon receive accreditation from the American Psychological Association. The school had not completed accreditation process by the time the students graduated. At that time, lawsuit Augustine. So that's a little, okay, I don't, that is more complex than this, what he's showing you. And I can tell you firsthand that Argosy did have an APA, not Dallas, but Northern Virginia. They were accredited APA. They also had KCREP, and then they had a non-accredited program. And I'll just say it right now, that counseling psychology program was non-accredited. So either way, they weren't accredited as a part of the of KCREP, which is the gold standard in counseling, and APA, which is the gold standard in what you call psychology. But Argosy did have both accreditations, and the school did close down. And those, because it was accredited, lots of the students were able to go to other schools like the Chicago school or a plethora of schools locally and far away to kind of continue their degrees, finish their degrees.
I said, oh, well, they got to have records. I mean, they were accredited when I attended the school. They were accredited when I finished the program. I go and look, there is a third party that has the records. Why I contact the third party? That third party only holds records for 2 years.
I'm no psychologist, but I recognize toxic defensiveness when I see it, because I've done it. All that cussing and posturing wasn't necessary. If she was qualified, she could have just explained it in one sentence. Combine that with the iced out doc chain she wears everywhere, psychology on her site, but now it just says she has 10 years of experience.
Okay, so I'm going to stop that there. I think that's enough for that, for my purpose. You can go and watch the rest of the video on Brother Cam's station. Yeah. So what's up next? I was going to show something else, but I'm not going to show it for the sake of time to get to, so I can get to my conclusion here. What I want to show you now is that she's misinformed or she's lying. Because just today, I said, you know what? Let me try something out. I said, let me attempt something here. And what I did was I went to, let's see here. Now y'all want to stick around for this. This is the ice on the cake, icing on the cake. Make sure you like this video, share this video. Make sure you hype this video. Now, yeah, show your brother some love because he's disclosing things. Definitely, that's his information. You know, this is my information, but y'all don't know if I actually have a degree. Not, I mean, I have the piece of paper before you, know, all the paper, and I have the what I say, what else did I show? A video of me being the graduate speaker because the graduate speakers, because my performance. If y'all didn't know that, you know, it's kind of like graduates don't have a valedictorian. They don't have a valedictorian at the graduate level. So, but I was the graduate speaker. Now, I'm not sure if all schools don't have a graduate level speaker, but at least at the university that I completed, they don't have valedictorian at that level. But it's about to get real. And let me see, I'm going to go here. Okay, I'm going to do this. All right, so let's see how I'm going to break this down for y'all. So what y'all probably don't know, if you were here earlier, I told you that I was going to share some things with you. If you can read this, I said, let me see if she's telling the truth. I created an order today. And what you don't know is I took classes at Argosy. You don't know. What you don't know is I took classes at Argosy University. And I went to Argosy because Loyola's program, the PhD program, had closed down. Yeah, another school that closed down. But I'm still able to get my transcripts from Sojourner Douglas College, which closed down. Loyola, very renowned program. Just look it up. Program, probably the top program in the clinical mental health integrated with spirituality program, a very popular program. Closed down because it's about money. Loyola didn't care. People were traumatized by that because they were doing so good and so big and so major, like in that area, that focus, that nobody ever thought they were going to close down. Now, the department knew that the school was challenging them to get enrollment up and things like that, and they had done all these things, but without much notice, they just said, "Oh no, we're going to discontinue this program." They got exchange students, they got all types of stuff going on. I'm telling you, program was very phenomenal program, by the way. I mean, for a person who went in Black Power, they almost made a feminist out of me. They did. They made a believer out of me to some degree. I went in Black Power, still came out Black Power, but my Black Power had been touched with allies, with all those lies, with allies. But nonetheless, what I'm saying is, so from there, Loyola's program closed down, so I went to Argosy and took some classes before they closed down. And guess what? I went to Argosy because I was like, I don't really want to get an EDD, but I went and I met with them, and I looked up their professors and the research and the how active they were in the field and all that type of thing. And they were very active. I'm telling you, it could have just been in Northern Virginia because it's really DC. It's like as soon as you get out of DC, you go across the bridge and you're in at Argosy's campus over there. I went there for a few reasons. One, I said, I'm never going to try to go through a program that's going to kill me like Loyola did in any master's level program. It becomes more difficult, but it also, the higher you go up, it gets a little bit more easier. You're in school for 50 years. There's something that becomes more challenging, but also you're used to writing at this point. You're used to research and all that type of thing. But the writing got more intense. It did get way more intense. My first class, I was like, whoa, this is crazy killer at Argosy. It was a writing research class, and it was crazy. I almost killed myself. I did it. It almost killed me. I'm literally. But again, Argosy, which I had a really good experience until they closed down. So today I said, let me see if she's telling the truth. She said that students can't get their transcripts. Family, go ahead, give me some love, y'all. Look, I'm showing y'all my personal stuff, y'all, my personal business. Give me some likes, shares, put the hypes in the video. Go ahead and clip this and share it. But look, I went to Argosy and I said, hold up, I can't get my transcript. And I didn't believe it, but I said, let me try. Let me just go and see how fast I can get it. I'm like, how many is it going to take? A few weeks? Is it going to take? I mean, because Dr. Bryant has to, like, if we can't get it, it's probably going to take some while before she can come out and show her transcript. But she also said that the transcript that she had, that she saved inside of the student portal, had most of her credits up to her dissertation, which is, that was some funny language she was using there. Like, why most of your credits up to your dissertation? I don't think she did a dissertation. And I'll also tell you why I think that she's lying is because when the school closed down, firsthand experience, they offered for those students who did not complete their degrees that if they relinquished all of their credit hours, that they would forgive student loans, all of them. Some people were all the way to the dissertation point and they took that because it was such a horrible experience. Now, going back to Waynesburg, and I said that what is it called? What did I say? Smooth seas don't make skillful sailors. This is what I was speaking to. I went there from 2017 to 2019. Good experience, honestly. Very active people in the community, in associations in the Baltimore, Washington area. Because I'm like the type of guy, like, I'll make my way. I'll make my way. So this is the first time I went to a school like this, though. But for most people, just to give you an idea, it's a professional school. In Virginia, it used to be like the school of Northern Virginia psychology or something like that. It's like a professional school where professionals go and get professional degrees. Argosy took over different campuses like that around. Schools like the Chicago School of Psychology, very similar. Like they were really focused on counseling, psychology, stuff like that. So a professional school. They have for forensic counseling and forensic psychology and counseling education and counseling psychology. The counseling psychology degree that she would have taken was not, and maybe it was something different where she was, but for the most part, from what I know and I remember, that was one of the psychology and counseling programs that was not accredited, because they had a different program, which was their clinical psychology program, which was APA accredited, and they had their counselor education and supervision program, which was KCREP accredited. So the counseling psychology program wasn't accredited nonetheless. Now she could with that. She already had a license at the master's level, and she's correct. If she had a degree and it was a credential and she qualified for master's level licensure, she'll be good. But the problem is, because the school wasn't accredited, because that program wasn't accredited, it would make her less likely to be able to become a professor or at an institution or research at an institution. Because I know people who've gone through that program and they struggle with getting full-time professorship because it's not accredited. In counseling, in psychology, they all become kind of like, no, you have to come from these KCREP places or these APA places, and they're not playing because they're kind of like competing against one another in a sense. But again, let me see what it says here. So today, May the 13th, 2026, is that today? I went ahead and I paid to see what if I could get my transcript and how long it would take. So it cost me $27.50. It cost me $27.50. And I received a receipt in my email. And God dang, they charged me tax. They charged me tax, 83 cents. Yeah, that's my document right there. Yeah, it's from this website that everybody was talking about, Parchment Team, the Parchment Team. So yeah, I wanted to know, at least let me buy it, right? It let me purchase it. It let me purchase it. I'm like, okay, they let me purchase it. And so it then took me through a process to verify my email. I did that. Then it sent me my receipt again. Then it says access transcripts. It said access transcripts. Hold up, let's look at the times. Let's go back. I didn't even look at it like this, but I think it's good to look at it like that. Did it show me the time? Oh, I don't know if the time actually is on this one, but I don't know if the time is here. Okay, yeah, 5:51 it looks like here. So at 5:51 that receipt was sent. 5:53 your document has been received. I'm sorry, hold on. Oh, no, 551. Hold up, 551. I guess as soon as I got the receipt and I hit the button, everything came through at 551. All right, family, go ahead and like this video, share this video. And everything came at 551. Now, if you want to know if I'm telling you the truth, your boy is going to show you his transcript. And I'm very proud of my transcript, by the way. You know, and I'm saying I did work hard. Believe it, I worked hard. I did, especially after going through all of this. A school closing down on you, like, oh my God. But I'm resilient, and I'm actually glad that it closed down to some degree. I'll tell you why. Because I did one. I went to that program. Well, part of it is that when I went to the other school, we had to focus more on in a PhD sense, which was similar but a little different. Because they're very similar, but I do think just to be a little PhD sounds a little better than EDD. Pardon for the I'm sorry, that's a little something. I'm just saying. But I decided to do the EDD before because I wasn't worried about that. But the thing was, it was a little thing, but I was like, I'm not a guy that needs certain. I can make things happen. I'm a person. I went to Sojourner College purposely. I know how. Look, whatever way I would have worked it out. But there's one thing I didn't have to work out because the school closed down, and then I went to Waynesburg. So if you see, here's my transcript, y'all. My transcript today came through today. My full it says not official unless signed by the registrar. Let's see if the register signed. Authorized signature. All right. Now, y'all see that GPA? 4.0. And I worked for it. I worked for it for real. Now, this is the class I was telling you about. That class almost killed me. It was 7 weeks. Advanced academic studying and writing. Just to give you an idea of what type of classes I had to take. Ethics and professional development. Models of clinical supervision. Because at the doctoral level in the field of counseling, it's models and theories around clinical supervision. Not just working with the client, but working with those who work with the client. See, a lot of people don't know that. Like all clinicians have to undergo supervision. So at the doctoral level in counseling fields, most of them, counsel education supervision, you are trained to be a researcher, a teacher, a advanced clinician, and also supervisor. But not only that, you're also trained to research in these areas. Your research is supposed to be something around that. So again, as I share with you, so then other classes, like diagnosis. So this is advanced introduction, diagnosis, and treatment planning. So you take all that at the master's level, but then you take another advanced course in these things. Methods and analysis, quantitative research. Methods and analysis of qualitative research. So yeah. So is this all the classes I took? Are these all the classes? So okay, I took these amount of classes. Again, is another 60 credits to get through the program. So these are the classes I took there. So I wanted to show you that because this is a transcript that Dr. Bryant said that she could not get from the school. Like she was blamed on the school. Again, this is what they all do. Umar, Tariq, Dr. Bryant, They start to blame everything on everybody. They be lying. You know what I mean? So I went here. So I'll just take it further from you to show you the show you. So again, I started off with these, and y'all say it could be fake. I showed you my graduate speaking, and Bawana said that could be fake. And I agree. It could have been. I showed you my transcript, and I showed you the process. I showed you the receipts, literally. But then I'll show you here that I did transfer. This is the website, Waynesburg EDU, where this is the unofficial transcript, because I still have access for a few reasons. But again, you notice your boy still had a finished with a 4.0. And they pulled in the classes. They pulled in most of the classes, not all. But it's showing you, again, those same classes I showed you. This is on Waynesburg's website from Argosy. And the reason why I could do that, because it's a K-CAP accredited program. So K-CAP accredited programs, a lot of them open up doors for us to go to transfer in. So 2019, you see, I pick up classes here: field experience and clinical supervision, advanced supervision practicum, field experience college teaching, advanced research methods, advanced counseling theory skills. And I had to do, you see, I had to do a lot of clinical, practicum, and then I had to do practicum, and then I also had to do internship again, and I had to do that at the master's level as well. It's a lot of work, especially even at the master's level. So this is another 60 almost credits, because this school actually was 58 credits, I believe. It was 60 credits mostly, but this at the doctoral level, that's another 60 credits on top of the 60 credits. On top of the clinical work that you've done at the master's levels, then you have to do clinical work for clinical skills here, then also teaching, and then you also have to do it for supervision. So you have to a lot of practicum and internship again. And 2020 overall, you see, I'm knocking these classes out, right? Dissertation research, it took me a while. Dissertation research from 2020. And 21 and 21, 22 spring. And there you go. Your boy, the name of my doctoral project title is Measuring the Relationship of Race-Based Trauma, Racial Identity, and Spirituality. And there you go. Dr. Bryant can do, like, if she can't show you one form of, like, can she show you any of these things? Can she show you, like, can she show you at least the degree on the wall? If she can't show you the degree on the wall, I mean, like, if she can't show you the transcript, she says the transcripts aren't available, but then I just went and showed you today that they are available. I went and purchased that today and received it today. So that lie is debunked. The point is, we have to be more critically aware of personalities. Door of L. What do you mean unofficial transcript? If she could go, she says she has her unofficial transcript. You know what I mean? Now, anybody can go to their university and log in and get their, as long as they have access still, and get and receive their unofficial transcript through self-service. If you see up here, this is the school's website. Most schools have self-service. This one is waynesburg.edu. Right? And then you can actually, it's just that easy. She said that it has most of my information. The unofficial transcript shows you all of your information. No, she said that Dorf L, she said she has her unofficial transcript that she saved. I think she said she took screenshots of. And I believe that she probably does have some of that. But the reality is, why does she only have, she said I have it up to a certain point. I think the point that she has it up to is the point where she stopped. I could be wrong because she could probably not have the master's degree, but I'm not sure about that. Because in counseling, you can't go to a PhD program from the bachelor's program. You have to go through undergrad, and then you have to go through a master's program. They won't even allow you to do a master connected to a PhD program. And one time they did, but K-Crep said, nope, the master's program has to be totally separate and independent of the PhD program. And we can only accept people who've gone through K-Crep accredited programs or APA, like psychology programs. There are entry level where you can go to a doctoral program straight from your bachelor's program, but you're going to be going all the way up until your PhD or your PsyD or what have you. So yeah, she's actually not, she's just being disingenuous. So family, I think I'm done here. Please share, like, and subscribe. I'm going to open up for anybody who wants to come in and talk. I know this isn't our typical topic, but I do want to show you that it's not that difficult for people that aren't malicious to show you their things, to show you their credentials. There's, especially if you're a clinical professional, like, people deserve, I'm going to say, to know whether or not you truly went through a process. Now, you don't have to show everything I showed. But again, this is more application that she's not telling something's wrong. I'm assuming that she's lying when she said that the school shut down and she can't get any of her records. Now, either she's lying or she's lying. She's lying she never tried, or she's lying that she was or maybe I don't know what happened there. But it just doesn't sound too good. All right, anybody want to come up in here? Because I don't have anything much other than to say that these personality traits that Umar called personality tendencies, which I say she's actually a bit more clinical with her language than he is, which is interesting. Now, Umar is not a clinical professional either. I assume he does have a PsyD and some training and probably plenty of clinical hours in school, but she's more clinically sharp with word usage. All right, family. I don't think y'all coming in here. Make sure y'all like this video. Talk to me. Y'all got any questions in the chat? Ask me any questions that y'all want to ask. But if you want to come in on the live, I'm opening it up before I get up out of here. I want some feedback. Even Rashard Ritchie showed his diploma mill product. Oh, even Rashard Ritchie showed his diploma mill product. That's interesting. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. With all this money she's getting, why not try and get a real degree? Yeah, I mean, it takes a lot. It takes more than money. That's why, people. One of the saddest things is everybody doesn't make it through the doctoral process, and those that you work closely with, actually, they get kicked out of programs, master's programs. Either like they get kicked out. They get kicked out because they didn't keep the grades. I've been on the side of that as a professor and as a student. Did she show the unofficial? If she didn't, that is at least she could do. She said she had it, but I don't know if she showed it. I'm not the expert on her right now, but I don't believe that she showed it. At Gel and P says, I think it's crazy. The Breakfast Club will just have anyone on there. That's true. They like at some point, how do you hold them accountable? In fact, you know what? Has anyone came out? Have we put enough pressure on the Breakfast Club? Yeah, I mean, I think that's something we must consider. Like, have we put enough pressure on the Breakfast Club as a platform that's bringing us questionable and fraudulent individuals? Have we? Because these people are being, because I hold like people like Sinetta responsible. I hold people who continue to bring fraudulent people on their platforms responsible. But, I'm not sure if we collectively, even myself, have held the Breakfast Club responsible. I mean, we haven't held them accountable to a great degree. Flat Earth says, that Flat Earth Society says, give Dr. Bryant one of those DSM diagnoses, Dr. Winkler. Now, because I'm a licensed professional, because I'm a licensed professional, that I can't do that. In some ways, you'd be like, well, that's why we say traits and tendencies, as Dr. Umar spoke about, or some possibilities and probabilities, what may be going on, behavioral patterns. You figure it out yourself. I don't, I hear people say all the time, you can't really identify who is narcissistic without sitting with them. I know to me, that's like the proper clinical jargon. But there's been a lot of people who have come out against Trump because the patterns that he shows. Now, I think they're right on. Like, I don't really think you have to. License-wise, yes. But I forgot what they called what is it? Not gold water. It was something with psychiatrists who got in a lot of trouble for diagnosing public figures like Trump. But there's books that speak to Trump. And the word narcissist is now utilized in a variety of ways, right? So you have narcissists, then you have narcissistic personality disorder. And some people, narcissistic personality disorder is a clinical diagnosis. Narcissistic is now been used so commonly, it is not one and the same. But it does highlight patterns that you see and what are common within what they call narcissistic personality disorder. Nonetheless, people with very manipulative ways, low self-esteem, perhaps might be grandiose. I mean, there's even subtypes that some people have kind of conceptualized, all those type of things. And I think some people have been responding to my comment about Black Liberation Media said accountable to who and how. I think the Breakfast Club, Dr. Jared Ball said the Breakfast Club is diabolical. We need to take, you know what? I think with all these comments, we really need to I'm saying at least me or some others can do more work in that area. So Flat Earth Society says, so both PhD and EDD are doctorates, same thing, right? Well, they can be the same thing. Some EDDs are much more what they will call advanced, like they're like professional degrees. And I would say like most psychology degrees, counseling degrees, they're kind of like a hybrid, like they're professional / research. But because like especially clinical psychology, clinical counseling, all these different degrees, they're like hybrid. You learn research, you learn the professional part is to be the therapist. You know what I mean? The professional part is to be the MD. Like an MD is a professional degree. The professional thing is to be the JD, to be the attorney. Their doctorate level, a lot of people, Juris Doctorate, they don't typically utilize that and utilize the word doctor, but nonetheless, these are professional degrees. EDDs typically, in many instances, especially around fields of education, they might be more like what you might see people who are trying to advance themselves in more professional settings, like maybe school principals. And so the EDD is a bit of a different type of degree. And sometimes people who have EDDs don't get the respect that they actually deserve because they kind of lumped in. Like a side D, like with Dr. Umar, I really assume that Dr. Umar does have a side D. That's a professional degree, not heavily research-based degree. He did do a dissertation, but it doesn't have the same type of standards or what have you. It's more like from my standpoint, more of a capstone type of project. What was the dissertation, Doc? I don't know which dissertation, Bawana. Mine was measuring the relationship of race-based trauma. I often say Black identity and spirituality. That's more of what it really is, but measuring the relationship of race-based trauma, racial identity, and spirituality. Dr. Ball says here, thanks for this. I just hope people consider also the folks who platform these types. Too many have put in real work to have all of this diminished by fools like her. Absolutely. And I think I want to think about that a bit. What you're saying here is because it's serious, because people, and that's where you see a lot of clinicians and lots of other people with PhDs and EDDs and PsyDs like really upset about it, because you see it all the time. Like I go into rooms and I know I'm sitting around a circle with the brothers, and it's no harm, no foul. I'm pretty humble and all that type of thing. But it can be a bit disheartening when you're sitting around and you know that most of the people in the room, when they're calling them doctor, they're not being honest, and they're approaching the conversation as if they're with a similar level of expertise, especially those who aren't what they've gotten it through some through like their church or honorary doctorate for real. Like, and you know what? Honorary doctors are given out too often as well, because I think an honorary doctorate should be respected. But people even, what I mean by respected, I mean that this person should have done so much work for our community that it shouldn't be like, well, I'm seeing these people, even people I know here in Baltimore and different places, like, I got an honorary doctorate. And like, what did you do to get an honorary doctorate? What is your work? You know, your work, like it should be like, for example, I'm not sure, like you all aren't from Baltimore per se, but okay, like Dr. Ben, like you may not agree with some of the things he's done. He has many honorary doctorates. Sojourner Douglas, I think, even gave him one. Dr. Clark, people like that, like their honorary doctors, their works speak for them. Whether or not it was 100% accurate, you know, Tom has told us that some of the narrative is not absolute, it wasn't absolute, but it's undeniable the works that they have put in. I'm going to especially say, yeah, I'm just going to keep them all in there. It's like even like local people like let's say like a B. Gaddy. I would not be like B. Gaddy like did so much for the houseless, unhoused, aka homeless community in Baltimore. Like it wouldn't upset me or anybody. Like we understand her work and her legacy is still living. Like it has to be something like that. You know what I mean? But one, I'm coming to you, brother. I'm coming to you. Let me come to you. And I'm going to read some of these comments, but I'm going to let you talk now since okay, how do we get out of here? Okay, Bawana.
Doc, can you hear me?
Yeah, peace. Let the people know where you calling from. I know where you call. I know where you be, but let the people know.
I'm calling from Nassau, Bahamas, brother. Nassau, Bahamas. Yeah. So Doc, if I was holding myself out there as a quote unquote doctor with no medical license, and if I was claiming to be a doctor in this, let's say in the state of New York, the doctors there would go after my head. You know, for practicing medicine without a license, they would go after my head. You know, if I was doing the same thing as law, if I was holding myself out there as some kind of legal practitioner or whatever, the lawyers, because they protect their industry. And it seems like I've heard from you and I've heard from one other lady, you know, speaking against this particular lady. And I'm asking, where are all the Black mental health professionals trying to protect their industry? This is first of all, this is y'all living. This is how y'all earn your money. Many of y'all, not all, but you know, it's an industry and it's degrees and it's a profession that y'all actually earn, spent many years in trying to get. So when you get certain things that's important to you, I would think you try to protect it. Where's the hue and cry from the Black mental health professionals saying that this lady shouldn't be doing what she's doing? Y'all should be going after her head, straight up. I mean, you doing it, and another lady is doing it, but I'm thinking, you know.
Well, that's I mean, I didn't look at it. I appreciate the question and the concern, and let's be clear that this happens in all those fields, right? And even quite similarly, you have people who graduated medical school who aren't licensed physicians, quite like people with JDs who aren't actually Esquires or what have you. So, like, you can graduate from a thing or a place and not actually be a licensed professional, right? So I appreciate you bringing them up as well. But I think there's a few things here, and I'll be real honest with you. Like the major, and maybe we can work this out together. The major thing that she's doing that's out of pocket is not so much that she's representing herself as a licensed professional. She's actually representing herself as a doctor, right? And what I mean is a PhD, or in this case, I think an EDD, because I think the counseling psychology degree at Argosy was an EDD. But most people don't look at it with that level of nuance. They say doctor, and everybody's doctorate, even a medical doctor, is a PhD in a lot of our minds. But nonetheless, they just call everybody a PhD. Like for example, Dr. Meyer has a doctor of engineering, like a DN, which was a very strong degree. but it's just a different type of degree. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's not a PhD, and everybody's not a, so Umar has a PsyD, which is a professional degree, Doctor of Eng, a more of a professional degree. They still have to do heavy research though. So anyway,
but Doc, go ahead, bro. Don't you have to prove yourself?
Feedback? Let me make sure, because I'm not sure. I don't want the audience to be listening. Are you hearing feedback?
I'm not hearing feedback. No.
Are you outside with the crickets?
Now I'm hearing it. Now I'm hearing feedback.
Are you hearing it? Okay, hold on 1 second.
It's unfrozen now.
Huh? Say it again.
It's unfrozen now. I can hear you now. I can see you clearly.
Okay, I feel like so where I think people are saying things, and I think that she probably will receive some things, but she doesn't have a license. Just like Umar didn't have a license, they couldn't do much with him. But she's not actually representing herself as a therapist for the most part from what I saw. She may have said a few things online, but she's very specific. And I want to be clear. She says, I'm a psychological expert.
Expert, yes. And what that, see, for your trained eye, you would pick up on that very quickly. Right? But for an untrained person, they're gonna read she is a psychologist.
Yeah, that's what she's meaning to do.
Right. Right, and it's intentional, Yes. And what you said initially, all those people you mentioned, they've proven themselves to be credible among their peers, enough so that they could be qualified to be whatever they wanted, to get their license, to practice or whatever. They had to go before a board and prove themselves among their peers. So when she goes out, she can say, well, we are confident in her representing us in information that she gives to unsuspecting people. It would be credible enough because we all agree to this particular paradigm, this idea. But she says these things, oh, I'm this, but where's who's backing her? Who's vouching for her? Who's her peers?
I think the what do they call it? Now I know we suck sometimes, but I would like to see how it looks. What they say, the court of public opinion or something like that. I really think that this is going to really impact her in a serious way.
What about the possible harm she may cause? It's like
the harm that she could have caused, you say?
What about the possible harm she could cause? You said you always talk about trauma. The fact that our community is full of trauma.
She can be a life coach.
Whatever that means. Whatever that means, brother. Whatever that means. But I'm saying, if you could be a life coach, but you have to be clear, what I am doing has nothing to do with psychology. In no way. You have to be clear with that.
Yeah, I think what she's calling herself, there's certain things that aren't, I'm looking for the term, that aren't like, what's the word? Like, propriety. I'm looking for a better word than that. Terms. They like there's certain words that are not regulated. Like psychologist is a word that is it propriety I'm looking for, y'all. What's the word, y'all? Help me out. It's like you can't just call yourself a psychologist. You just can't call yourself a social worker. You just can't call yourself a professional counselor. You just can't call yourself, like there's certain words and terms that the fields reserve the right and only licensed people. You can't just call yourself an attorney at law. Well, like I don't, licensed terms. You just can't call yourself a real estate. You just can't call yourself a realtor. You can't just call yourself a real estate agent. They have licensure and boards that you have to also join to even call yourself a realtor. So
because she understands that there are legal implications for calling herself a psychologist. That's why she calls herself a psychology expert.
Absolutely.
That's the reason why.
That's the manipulation. She's playing the game, but she'll probably she's going to get hers. Believe me, she will. I don't know how or what angle, but she's already getting the repercussions of her misleading behavior. She's already feeling it.
Yeah, and Doc, man, make no mistake, man. I'm not a hater. I'm not trying to take her money away from her, whatever. She's a black lady trying to get money. I feel a little bit funny about it, but it is what it is, brother.
No,
And
I mean, no.
You didn't get your doctorate off of a milk a cornflakes box. You actually earned that. So I'm saying that why not try to do the same thing as well? You know, do the same thing as well.
No, you're not hating. You just want, it's called accountability. And we need to hold people accountable because she is intentionally, from what I gather, intentionally manipulating our community. Now, I haven't looked at enough of her things, but what's interesting about her is the thing, a lot of the things I heard from her, which is very interesting, is that I tend to, like, Umar, his information is bad. Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have some good information, but when it comes to clinical stuff, Umar be making stuff up. When I hear the little bit I've heard from her, even where I may disagree, it's not out of the realm of what you will find inside of the field in general. People tend to disagree in all disciplines. But Umar be going extra far. I'm not saying she don't go far and for the antics and the ratings and the clicks. But what I've heard, her analysis or her analyses, she makes some good, some sound analysis.
Yeah, we could say that. We could say that. Well, why
I'm not
not
saying
earn
always, though. I'm talking about some of them. I'm saying like a lot of when she's talking to these brothers, the few clips I saw. Now she could be way out of pocket outside of those clips I saw. But I do want to be clear. I'm not talking about even what she said. She's just a fraud and she's manipulating her credentials that she hasn't earned.
Yeah, well, why not earn it then? Why not earn it? Why not earn the right to see? See, you don't just say, you could say something that sounds good, and to professional-minded person in me, tickle their hair. But why not earn the right to say it? Earn the right to say it. Don't hold yourself, or just don't call yourself a doctor then. Just do it that way. Call yourself a life coach.
Because the trauma that she told you that she healed from, she hasn't. The level of what Nick Cannon was asking her, he was actually literally calling himself. He was identifying the traits that he has that is grandiose, and the need for attention, and all these type of things. There's a thunderstorm out here, boy. Woo, Lord, what is that? Okay, it's serious outside, y'all. Be safe. I'm talking. We supposed to turn the lights out back in the 70s and 80s. We turn everything off. I hope it don't go off. But nonetheless, I want to be clear.
We used to do that too. We used to do that
too. The whole building shook.
Hey, Doc, I have a question for you. I have a question for you. Good question. Do you think if her audience were primarily Caucasian, would she be able to function this long out here? Do you think
if she was a Caucasian?
If her audience was primarily Caucasian, do you think that she would have the ability to function as she does in having such a large black audience primarily?
Yeah. She's very I'm telling you, what we're trying to catch her on. I mean, I may have not done all the research, but what I've seen thus far, what people are trying to catch her on is a few slips of sand therapist sometimes, or therapy, which becomes a little sketchy, but interesting enough. In Pennsylvania, my students could call themselves therapists. I think I said it earlier, but they couldn't call themselves counselors when they didn't have degrees. So it changes a bit, but professional counselor, psychologist, social worker, all these different, medical doctor. I think medical doctor, because you can have the degree, but I don't know if you can call yourself a medical doctor. The license, I don't know how they do that with MDs. But anybody can have a doctorate degree, but it doesn't make you a licensee, a practitioner, a clinician, a physician. It doesn't make you that. And she's not even claiming to be any of that for the most part. She's saying, I am a psychology expert. She said, I'm a life coach. Psychology expert is a made-up term. It's not a proprietary term. But anyway, I'm going to...
I'll say this lastly. I'll leave it here. I'll leave it here. Let me conclude. To Miss Bryant.
She's going to get it. I guess what they're going to do is they're going to now...
No, I know she's going to have this. She's going to have it.
People say all the time, let me give you another example. When people don't have real estate license, they'll call themselves a real estate expert.
Sure.
So this is common practice. This is practice that people do.
Sure, I know the hustle. No, I know the hustle, man. I understand the hustle, man. And I feel like I say, Miss Bryant.
Some people do that. And some people do that.
Yes.
And they actually do have some expertise in real estate.
Sure.
Some people might have some expertise in psychology or counseling and not actually have licensure. But she is actually what she's saying here is that she said what she's saying here is that she has a doctorate degree. We got to be clear. The doctorate degree is the major thing in question. She's not saying she's a licensed practitioner, at least from what I saw. She's very clear that she's not a licensed practitioner. Umar Johnson, on the other hand, he says he's a psychologist. He did earn from all I've seen is and I believe he's earned a PsyD, which makes him a degree holder, and that's why he intentionally calls himself a doctor of psychology.
But Doc, what you are doing? Here's what you are doing. You are having a discussion about this particular subject at a PhD level, so you understand the definition in terms. A regular person on the street, when they hear the name doctor, they're gonna imply a person has a license already. They're gonna imply all these things you already know. You don't necessarily need to have these things because you are talking from that particular standpoint. The rank and file person, when they hear the name doctor, there are certain implications that's going to come with that. That's not going to even be questioned. I don't even need to question whether she's licensed or not. She's already a doctor. So people will assume these things, and that comes along with the idea of doctor. I'm sorry, it is what it is, brother. It's a lot of dumb money out here, and it is what it is.
What am I disagreeing with you about, though?
No, I'm just saying.
You're pushing up on me like I'm disagreeing with you.
No, we having a talk, man. We having a talk.
Say, brother. I don't care.
We having a talk, dog. We having a talk, dog. But the truth is, here's the truth, dog. Because Miss Bryant is gonna listen.
Come for me, Bwana.
No. Miss Bryant is gonna listen to the show. And Miss Bryant, I am not trying to take money away from you. I understand the economy is bad. People got to do what they got to do. Me and my brother just having a conversation. We just having a conversation, man.
We got to hold her accountable. She seems to be highly fraudulent. No. Yeah, I'm trying to take money from her if she's manipulating our people. I am personally. You know what? You are supposed to. Because you are trying to protect your industry. You are trying to protect your profession. You are trying to protect your industry. I'm not that worried about the industry as much as I'm worried about my people. That's what I'm saying. I'm coming from a different approach here.
Okay. All right.
I come from more of an African-centered, Black, decolonized type of approach, which I can look at some of these things I agree with and disagree with. I'm not really trying to protect the industry as much as I'm trying to protect people. I don't give the industry is what it is. It's got all types of problems and all that, but at the same time, she is being vindictive. She's being manipulative, and she's being manipulative for a reason. And with that type of those type of behavioral traits, there is likely, as you're saying, that she will cause some harm, and it probably has caused harm. The same personality traits that you see in what Dr. Umar Johnson spoke to, in the others, Nick Cannon and what's his name, Cam Newton, or whoever, all these different people, they have the propensity to cause harm. And let me just do it like this. You know, they have the propensity to cause harm.
I want to go back to the good Dr. Umar Johnson was saying.
I believe that Dr. Cheyenne Bryant is quite possibly the same personality type as Nick Cannon and Cam Newton. I believe that all three of you are serial monogamists with narcissistic tendencies.
So to address the first question, which was, do I believe that I have some narcissistic traits in my low functioning behavior? Absolutely. For me to be able to emasculate that man and he's just loving on me, he's never disempowered me. This man wasn't cheating or beating on me. He was there all day.
Do you struggle with the same things that I struggle with? Self-importance?
Not at this level. Do I have a high level of self-love and self-value? Yes. Can my confidence be on steroids sometimes because that's the way I inspire me? Yeah. Does my self-talk show up externally sometimes? Yeah. Is my self-talk narcissistic? Abso-fucking-lutely.
I want to go back.
So again, she's being real with you. She said that she has narcissistic traits. She said that she kind of said yes and no whether or not she's grandiose. She kind of did the flim flam on you. Yes, her confidence is high. So high that she didn't think she would get caught. And that is a tendency for people who are narcissistic or have narcissistic traits. Let's say that. That's to be more clinically accurate, or not to take this to a clinical diagnosis or what have you. Diagnosis. She admitted how cruel she was to somebody. So again, I don't think it stops there. I think that she takes that where she goes. But I think she, in that confidence that she has, which is narcissistic and grandiose, according to her, had her think that she could pull this off. She thought that she could go and go ahead.
Why not? Why the president of the United States? Well, the president of the United States is a supreme narcissist. America loves narcissists. So why wouldn't she? Why wouldn't she also? See, to me, it's marketing. It's brilliant marketing because America loves narcissists. Because
right.
They wouldn't have elected one. They wouldn't have elected one.
Come on, you're right that we've been taught to over appreciate, if I'm looking for a better term, celebrities. We are in a celebrity culture. We are in a culture that celebrates extroverts. We are in a culture, the more fancy and the more glamorous and the more lies you tell, in a sense, about yourself and how great you are and all these type of things. And I'm not saying, like she said, she had a strong self-love. Nah, but she then flipped it and said, well, no, am I absolute? Does it show up in my self-talk? And does it, I guess, on an external level? Absolutely, she said.
But Doc, isn't narcissism a pathology as opposed to quote unquote self-confidence? Because we flipping words right now. We flipping words. So because it seems like we are exchanging the word narcissism for confidence. And I'm saying that it sounds like that.
No, I'm not exchanging anything. I appreciate your pushback. You just don't know what you're talking about. So what am I saying to you what you don't know about?
No, educate me.
So I appreciate it, brother. No, I get it. You don't want it to come across as a euphemism. I appreciate that. But they're in all personalities have traits that make up what we call that personality. And that grandiosity is one of the traits, the many traits that make up a narcissistic personality, or even go further, narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic traits. One of the traits is grandiosity, illusions of grandeur. That is what I believe Nick Cannon was speaking to. That is one of the traits. It's also, there's a lot of other traits to go along with it. People manipulate people. I mean, there's a cluster of traits that make up what we call narcissism or narcissistic personality disorder. And people, again, I agree with the dear sister, psychologist sister, I can't think of her name right now, but she, and I agree with many people, because the word narcissistic has been thrown around too much, too often. And even clinicians, we struggle with actually diagnosing what narcissism is in practice. You know, but there are some examples that are definitely clear. But then,
okay, I have okay, go ahead.
Then you have some examples that are a little bit more complex, because you have to ask yourself: is it personality, or is it neurotype? Is it you know? In other words, is it personality, or is this how the person was wired? Is it because when you look at diagnoses, we have to be clear that you have to rule out other diagnoses. And some similar diagnoses might look like borderline personality disorder, which is kind of a little is in the same cluster. But then you might have bipolar disorder, and bipolar disorder at times can look very narcissistic. And then you might have what's another? You might have bipolar. You might even be a person on the spectrum. A person on the spectrum definitely many times can be misdiagnosed. And it's not to say you can't be both of any of these. Like there's comorbidity, right? So you can have bipolar disorder and also be narcissistic. You can, I don't know about borderline, and I don't think you can be both of those. I could be wrong about that, but we have to look at the manual. Because they're in the same cluster, they're just similar. You have to kind of differentiate which one. I'm assuming that you have to differentiate which one of those in the cluster B that the person falls under. I don't think you could. I don't think that.
Can you be a malignant narcissist and a benevolent narcissist, whatever that means? Help me with that term. Can you be both those things as well? Can you be both?
Well, you have to define those. But also, I just want to be clear: those aren't necessarily those aren't clinical diagnoses.
Okay, no sweat, no sweat. Okay, so let me put it this way.
Dr. Romy, what's the name? Dr. Romy, the Indian sister who does a lot of things on narcissism. Dr. Romeo, something like that. But go ahead.
Yeah. So you said that narcissism had to do with certain qualities, a culmination of different qualities. So what I mean when I use the term malignant narcissist as opposed to a benevolent one is if your narcissism causes harm to others, as opposed to your narcissism having a helpful effect towards people, or it's just bad all around. Can it lead to just something negative all around? It can't lead to something positive.
Well, the problem with all this stuff is complex. See, a benevolent narcissist. You said what do you call it earlier? I've read this before in Dr. Romeo's book, but I can't remember exactly how she defined it. What's her name?
Yeah, I heard the term. I saw in the Diary of the CEO. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. What you call a benevolent narcissist? That's what you said, right?
Yeah, because I heard the term.
Let me look that up and see. Let me look at the definition and see if I agree.
Sure.
We can debate about these things, and that's what I'm saying, right? These are not clinical diagnoses, right? By the way, these are more what people have kind of began to add and build off in pop culture. You're not going to go to a clinician, at least I don't think in the DSM-5 TR, I believe, anything called a benevolent. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a benevolent narcissist in there. Let's look. A benevolent narcissist, benevolent or altruistic narcissist is a type of covert narcissist who secures admiration, validation, or control, appearing exceptionally caring, generous, and altruistic. I remember this in her book. And basically, they're just covering up, because I know she also talks about covert narcissists and all these different people. These people, like, if I remember the benevolent narcissists now after reading this, it's more about them, like those people who go out and you never think they're in all the places helping all the people, but they really doing it for their own self gratification. They're doing it for their own self-importance. They're doing it, and it seems like they're doing it for others, but they're really doing it to get what Dr. Romeo, I think her name is, supply. I like the term she uses and all that type of thing. I like how she breaks it down. And all these things I would say are, I've found these types or these subtypes or non-clinical levels of narcissistic traits, if you want to use that terminology, and understand that clinical diagnoses change and evolve all the time. So there's diagnoses, especially personality disorders, that don't even exist anymore. So nonetheless, this could show up in the literature one day. This could show up in the DSM-5 one day, or 6, or 7, 8. But what I'm saying is, this is a person, even benevolent it's just saying that these people are fake. In fact, if you go back to what Cam Newton was speaking about earlier, when he was speaking about I think he said something about how she was saying that the reason why she didn't get licensed, and I could be misinterpreting this, but the little that I heard, I think he was saying she was doing it for low-income people can have access to services. If that's accurate, that could be a form of that. I'm doing it for the community. I'm doing it for the people. Now, even though he said those prices were low, relatively low, I agree with him. But again, but for low income people, that he said, I don't agree with that. Like, who's paying $3.50 an hour or whatever it was, $2.50 an hour for a coach or a therapist, or like I mean, people do, especially for like a therapist and even coaches. But what I'm saying is, either way, for someone who is low income paying that amount of money, that's not a low income price. Even sliding scales.
Low income is relative, brother. It's relative.
It's not that relative.
No, it's a relative word, brother.
It's not that relative. It's not that relative. Where you talking about $3.50? Nah, an hour for a low income person? That's just. I'm talking about in the United States. That's just too high. An hour. You have people with.
But Doc, if we say that she is a benevolent narcissist, this is my term now, because I don't want to cause no problem.
You're going to operationalize the term. Okay, go ahead.
No, it's my term. It's my term. It's not a professional word. It's my term. But I'm saying, if she is doing that and it is helpful for others, even if she feels good or her ego she feels self-aggrandized and her ego is boosted in some way, I don't particularly think that that's a bad thing. But if she is doing the opposite of that, hurting people and harming people, then then the malignancy comes in. If she is harming people, the malignancy comes in for her own financial benefit. So you have two different versions of it, as we discussing it right now.
in most cases, you're using the word benevolent and different than how they operationalize it. But I do get what you're saying. Like, there are people out here that seem to be doing things for our community. But I think the key word will be seem. And like, there's people like, it almost reminds me of how people say Trump is doing things for people. They really think he's doing all this great work. Oh, he's benevolent. People really think that Umar is being benevolent. I mean, like, so you have people who they might say he's benevolent. They might even call him that, you know? People think that Tariq Nasheed is benevolent, but he's not. You know, he's doing it for himself. People are calling people benevolent, and even if it's not hurting people directly individually, which it often and probably more likely than not will, because they're doing it for the gram, TikTok. They're doing it like they don't actually have to be bringing about change to be considered a benevolent narcissist. They could just be looking like they're doing the thing. And when they shut the door, they have a whole different agenda. The agenda is about them.
But Doc, a brother came to your panel and said that I think that God put the blessing on Tariq Nasheed and gave him the wisdom, and he sounded like his confidence level was on 100 because of maybe hidden colors or some words that Tariq Nasheed may have used. I can't remember his name now, but he was actually on it. You had a clip of him saying that Tariq Nasheed was divinely inspired. And because maybe something he got from Tariq Nasheed, he feels a sense of pride, self-worth. So maybe he's being benevolent in that way, even though Tariq Nasheed is doing it for his own selfish aggrandizement, money, whatever you want to call it. You know, to the brother who listens to him, he is actually helping him and aiding him and assisting him because his pride for himself is boosted. Even though it's built on nothing, it's boosted to some degree. So wouldn't that be a good thing?
No. Not at all. You said built on nothing. Wouldn't that be a good thing?
Oh, I say it's built on nothing. He doesn't believe that. But I'm saying I think it's built on nothing.
That's why I say in the individual sense, maybe it can boost somebody's ego and they take on the narcissistic tendencies themselves because it's fantasy, it's fallacious, it's phony. So, and I'm writing this paper on the FBA cult. I'm writing a paper on the FBA cult because people tend to take on their cult leaders' identity when they've been indoctrinated through these cults. So what they do is take on a form of grandiosity via their cult leader, which is built on nothing, as you said. So when they meet truth, their foundation will be shaken because there's lots of lies. But also on a greater level, even if he's lifting up this person in a false sense and giving them false pride and false whatever, think about all the harm he's doing to the community in the process. So he doesn't get any past from me. No benevolent narcissist or whatever you want to call it, trickster, huckster, fake philanthropist, and whatever you want to call it. They don't get no passes from me because it's a game.
I do think it's a game. I do think Dr. Winkler, you live in the society that I live in, maybe not directly, and you understand that the society we live in is built on a whole lot of lies, and sometimes some people need those lies just to exist. For instance, let me give you an example of that. You know, I don't know how religious minded that you are, but some people take on this idea.
You say you don't know how religious minded I am.
Yes, or not. But for some people need this idea of this benevolent person living up in the sky, and that keeps them going. Now, And I believe that's a complete ridiculousness, and I believe that to be a lie. But some people need that kind of lie to continue and to keep going, just to wake up in the morning, brother. They need that lie.
Okay. That's what you believe.
And I tell you what, so do almost a billion other people. So do almost a billion other people, brother.
Well, I mean, that's what they believe. But there's groups of people who are non-theistic that are doing just fine. Groups of people. They are, and we have to look at this from a standpoint that things are on a spectrum. There's a difference between there's differences here. Some people truly and honestly believe the lie, even the person who created it. Then there's people who created the very thing as a lie to manipulate and cause division, divisiveness, harm, and all that. And that is what you get more from an FBA cult, which is very different than people who speak, who call themselves Buddhists, although most of them are non-theistic. But they live in the way that they live, and some of the things are accurate, some things are inaccurate. Like, we're all going to have people with beliefs. I agree with that. There's like literally, but this is very different. A narcissist and what you call grandma believing in Christ, although it can be very detrimental in many instances, these are different. Grandma really believes in Christ, but there's, again, it's on a spectrum. There are people who believe in their religions that are and their religions are diabolical. Their religions cause them hell. Those religions becomes very authoritarian and oppressive and controlling and very damaging to them and their family and community. So things are on a spectrum. So I don't want to confuse what Tariq Nasheed does with somebody who's trying to bring harmony to the community through some mythological figure, and because he's not. That's just not what he's doing. He might make somebody feel angry at another brother who looks like him or another sister that looks like him. He might. Tariq Nasheed goal is very clear and evident. He doesn't care two goddams about that person that you're talking about.
No, but I could make a comparison that and say that FBA could really be compared to a religion and a faith. Well, and hold on, let me finish. Hold on.
I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to cut you off because you know I don't like that. And if you notice, let me just be clear. Whenever you cut in, I shut up.
That's right, brother. That's right, guy, bro.
Yeah, I shut up when you cut in. I say, "Oh, okay, go ahead." So, but again, you can compare it. There's similarities, but just because there's similarities does not mean that there's similarities in lots of things. But just because things are similar don't mean that they cause harm or the same level of harm or harm at all. You have similarities in lots of things. But what you have in, like, this, Christianity has ruled the world. Christendom, as Dr. Clark speaks about, has gone and caused all types of harm. So absolutely, you can compare it to that. Unequivocally, you can compare it to that. Now, it's not, when I say unequivocally, it's not there yet, but it has the elements of Christendom in the ways that all these traditions have been misutilized. All traditions have been misutilized, even ideologies that we connect with. People will misutilize and weaponize every type of form of ideology. And you can compare them all to religions. But
so we agree. So we agree.
I don't know. I keep saying I don't know what you're arguing. So I mean, come harder.
My argument. No. I'll explain it. Your argument is you said that you can't really confuse the two in terms of what Tariq Nasheed is doing to what Mama is doing as a face, as a religion. I am saying that I can. There is so much similarities. The religion, I believe, and I can compare FBA to a faith. It's almost along the lines that's in that strain, because it's almost a religion. It's a belief in something where you have your prophet, who's Tariq Nasheed. You have the devils, who are the tethers. You have this belief. You have the I ain't African thing. I'm a born again Native American. I mean, it has all the attributes of a religion. All of them. Almost all of them. So when you say that you can't compare it, yes, you certainly can, sir. I mean, brother, you certainly can. I believe.
I mean, I said there's no comparison.
I say there is.
No, what I mean by no comparison between, like, I think we have to look at things again more like on more of a spectrum. Like, we can compare everything in every type of religion or to a thing. We can compare every type of movement. People will say the very movement that you're in, you can compare it. Let me be clear. What movement are you in?
Me, I consider myself to be a Garveyite. You
consider yourself to be a Garveyite?
Yes, sir.
And it's very easy for people to say Garvey is your God.
People could say that,
or Messiah. What I'm saying is, so they can compare, although you don't agree with the comparison per se, but they can find elements as a Garveyite that is consistent or similar to religious sects. Does that mean that the comparison is fair?
I think that you spreading the cheese of very, very thinly, because first of all, Garvey he was a religious man. I think Garvey was a Protestant or Catholic or something like that. So how can God have a God? So it's like I like if we do that, there are some details that's going to be left out of that conversation, because God can't have a God. So how can God have a God? Marcus Garvey was a Protestant.
God have a God?
Yes, because if you say people could say that Garvey is my God, but Garvey himself,
your messenger,
and my Messiah, but but Garvey himself was a Catholic, I think, or a Protestant. So how can
it doesn't matter?
It does matter. The details does matter, Doc.
People will still say it and believe it. Let me just say
they could say it. They could say it.
Do say it, but
they could say it.
Do say it, by the way.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is, for us not to lose the point, is that most movements you can compare to some organized movements can also be compared to religions. Whether that's fair or not, we have to talk about it.
We talking about it. Are we talking about it? We talking about
it. Brother Everett, come on up in here, brother. Brother Everett said, "Hey, hold up, Brother Everett said, President Everett Winchester of the UNIA.
Oh my goodness!
He says Hey,
he put me out there. He put me
you
out there.
can't be a Garveyite unless you pay your dues to the UNIA.
Yes, brother Everett. Yes, brother Everett. We working on it. We working on it, brother Everett. Mr. President. Mr. President, we working on it. 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 We working on it.
But I don't want to lose. It don't take much to pay those dues. Go ahead and get it done. But look, check it out. Mine's are paid. But the point is that I don't like you can compare whatever you want to compare, but it's not fair. It's not I'm going to say a strong and accurate comparison to compare even, let's say, a Marcus Garvey as a Catholic to a Tariq Nasheed as a, I don't know what the hell he is. It's just not. It like just because a person has a faith tradition, like I think we have to look at these things with nuance, because then we'll start giving them passes. We don't need to give Tariq Nasheed a pass because he helped somebody who with a word who think he's God because he created a word called FBA and you believe God deposited this thought inside of him and so on and so forth, and it makes this one person feel good. Well, it is detrimental to our community. That is very different. I am not saying that religions don't cause issues, because you asked the question. I'm not what you would call a religious person. I'm not. Let me just be very clear. There's nothing you can say to me to scare me about anything, God, not God, whatever. Look, we can have a deeper conversation around that. Okay. But what I am saying is, we have to be able to look at these things on a spectrum and with nuance. So anyway, Bawan, I thank you for coming up here, man. And
I appreciate the conversation, Doc, man. You get me in problems with Brother Everett, man. Mr. President. You get me in the shoes with him, man.
Look, you need to be in trouble for all that mess. All right, brother. I appreciate. Anybody else gonna come up in here? I don't know what Bawana was talking about. Well, it was fun. Look, but I don't know. Oh God. Anthony McPhail, peace and power. Obedient 48. Oh man. I look. Bawana at least made it a little interesting. I don't know if he was actually asking these questions just to kind of like. I don't know. I think I don't know. Let's go back to some of these comments before I get out of here. I think I saw psychiatrists, MDs. Yeah, I know that. Geechee, yes, because there's many opportunists. Okay. Okay. Y'all was getting busy here. I was trying to see. She even trademarked Dr. Bryant, legit black female attorney, pull her receipts. Wow. So let's see here. Let's see what Proper Perspective said. What's up, cuz? Make sure y'all go over to at the Proper Perspective at the Proper Perspective on YouTube and subscribe to Proper Perspective, Professor Shabazz. He says, to some extent, people have to be more mindful of what these folks are saying and what we have to seek out the whistleblowers, so to speak. Yes, I agree. I'm not really with this whole, if they can help one person while causing hell in the community. I don't know if that's what Bawana meant. It just, I don't know that it can help one person. I don't even know if that's helping them. It's like false help and false hope.
Back to the good Dr. Umar.
Oh shoot, my thing got stuck. Okay, so Pro Woman says, okay, an attorney. Hold on, y'all. Let me do this real quick because my why is it stuck? Okay, you want to get stuck, huh? Okay, we're gonna do it like this. All right, so yeah, Oh my God, everything is messing up now. All right, I think this is the sign. Okay, what's going on, y'all? Okay, so I can see a big screen. And attorney Simone is just as pretty. Okay, I don't know. Not jealous of Brian. I don't know what that's all about. Kichi Yaw says, FYI, Nard once publicly said she was his therapist. So it could be the exploitation ring he be having black sisters who are trying to get on. Whoa, okay. All right, there, Geechee. Door of L says our axiology is assimilation to individual monetary value. Capitalism requires exploitation of the lowest class. Let me try something out, y'all. Hold on. I gotta figure something out here. Okay. Okay, I don't know what's going on here, y'all. Oh my God. This is crazy. Okay, I'm having some tech difficulties, y'all. And okay, it looks like it's coming down now. Okay, looks like it looks a little bit closer to what I need to do, but all right, so it looks better. Just not 100%, but it's better. Okay, so Dr. Bryant is okay. Let me skip some of these. What does it say here? It says y'all got it. Ooh, it's coming down here in VA as well. I don't. Maybe that was a while ago, so I don't know exactly what. Well, that might have been 2. We're good in Chicago. Beautiful spring night. Oh, that rain. Okay, that's what it was. Psychiatrists, MDs, Dr. Martin. That's what I was looking for. Dr. Martin, y'all. Yeah, Dr. Martin said licensure is a form of consumer protection. No recourse for unlicensed. Yeah. So I think that it works both ways, right? And that's the piece that I did want to add in. It is a form of consumer protection, but it's also it does work in maintaining the status quo as well. I think we can talk about it as a both and. You know what I mean? Brother Geechee said this is why class analysis is important. It roots back to the entrepreneurial desires even African-centered people teach. I agree. That and I would also say that African-centered people, like other frameworks on the spectrum, some are very entrepreneurial and some are very anti-capitalistic. So it just kind of depends. Brother Geechee says, good line. Doctor not trying to protect industry, focus on protecting people. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not focused on protecting the industry per se. That in many ways the industry needs to be really, really, as we would say, decolonize. But I would like to say more than that. It would. I would like to say that it needs to definitely have an overhaul, because it's not even made for us. And I'm not saying that there shouldn't be any standards, because we do need to have standards in regulation and all these type of things and regulatory bodies and all that type of thing. But the way as it stands is we need to be looking at it both ways, not one way. It was explained to me this way: you can have some traits, tendencies, but that doesn't mean you get a diagnosis. That's true. I mean, definitely. Dr. Romney, yeah, that's what I was looking for. Speaks on narcissism. She appeared frequently on Red Talk. Well, yeah. Okay, I didn't know that though. I didn't know she was. I never looked at Will and Jada Excellent convo about Ori Shabazz. She tears people down with reads and judgments and insults, more harmful than helpful. You know what? Interesting. You know, I think that, you know, as like I said, I haven't really watched a lot of her, but I will say that the gentleman that she, I think hurt can see hurt, trauma can see trauma. People with certain traits can see the trait in the other people. Religion is wrong, cult is the answer. What are you saying, Brother Everett? Religion is wrong, cult is the answer. So I think you're saying that perhaps what you're saying is that maybe he should use the word cult instead of religion when we're describing these things. Proper perspective said, but one is not understanding. Divine God Allah said, Dr. Daw, my bro, peace, brother. I think it's a brother. Divine God Allah. Peace to the God. Real Truth to Power says, laughing. I think he was talking. Dr. Dennis Winkler. We got that earlier. All right, we're at the end of this, y'all. Make sure y'all thumb up this video, like this video. If nobody else wants to come in, I'm going to end it here. Coming up soon. But make sure you also hit that. Y'all know I'll be forgetting the things, especially as it gets late. Divine God Allah said, Tariq, a weirdo. But some of FBA members are cool, though. I mean, yeah, that's true. You know, it's like the people who are caught in the cult aren't necessarily the problem. You know what I mean? No, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm a licensed clinical professional counselor and a counselor educator. Anybody seeing that Nature Boy documentary surprised me. Surprised they made a doc, but his trial did not. His trial did make national news. Wow. Okay. I saw the advertisement for, but didn't watch it. Pro Woman. Okay. Pro Woman 67. The proper perspective. Haven't seen it either. That ad was spicy, yet said that people fell for the nonsense. So family, I really appreciate you all joining me today. Again, the word I was looking for is hype this video up, family. Thumb this video up. If you please hype so we can get it in the algorithm. And hopefully what I served as some form of clarity, understanding. I appreciate the dialogue, the struggle, the differences, what we agreed to, and all that type of thing, what we agreed with, and all that type of thing. I appreciate you all always offering up your perspective in the chat and all those type of things. But again, I want to say that it's definitely a circuit out here, and these people roll together. And the craziness is you got to be very careful, because the very people who call out people a lot of times are many times complicit, or they're really deflecting from their own the harm that they're also causing. Let me see. Proper perspective says it's so many people falling victim to religious and spiritual nonsense, and it's ongoing. Nature Boy got clapped and 3 more sprung up. Laughing out loud. We need to do better. Yeah, people know how to play on people's trauma, and that's essentially what we're dealing with. Traumatized people. I don't care what words you want to call them, narcissists, borderline personality disorder, whatever. It's basically people who have been hurt and have learned to survive. I'm saying this doesn't make up the full thing, because I don't want anybody saying something crazy, but I'm saying that on a very fundamental level, these are personalities created through trauma. And until next time, family, I want to say peace, power, blessings.
When you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back.
If a generalized black woman is doing this and being this, that is irresponsible. coming with his master's degree,
you're gonna get your mind
showing
back.
me, his,
Black and proud. Claim your African. Black
Because
and
I
proud.
think
I'm telling
that
you.
if
When you
as
claim your
a
African, you're gonna
person
get your
who
mind
has
back.
a page,
what is the status of people
Claim your
with half
Black and proud. I'm
FBA?
telling you. When you claim your African, you're gonna get your mind back.
That's why I was laughing because
Black and proud. Claim your African. Black
I'm not
and
saying the
proud. I'm telling
framework
you.
doesn't do a thing, but
Become a part of it.
we've been
Embrace it.
Forward to black men
Become a
being the
part of it.
masters, being
Embrace
in
it.
control. We must
Become a
have
part
our
of
own,
it.
only
Embrace it.
That those one of the
Become a
best
part
stories I've
of
ever
it.
heard.
Embrace it. When you claim
out
your
of
African, you're
mastery
gonna get your mind
that
back.
mental growth takes
Black
place.
and
You've been
proud. Claim
misled
your
by
African.
leadership,
Black
for
and
instance,
proud.
that
I'm
think
telling
that
you.
you can consume.
When you claim your Africanness, you're gonna get your mind back. Black and proud. Claim your Africanness. Black and proud. I'm telling you.